It's arguably the world's most renowned racetrack.
From the get-go, they know I need to be on it.
We knew the competition is going to be even harder now.
You could feel the pressure.
It was intense.
I was pretty nervous. I reckon there's going to be a few surprises.
It's not like any other track in the world.
It's a scary track.
The elevation changes are incredible. So many blind turns.
If people miss their braking point, if people get scared at the wrong moment, you're straight into a wall.
We're getting close to the final, and they knew someone is going home. They could sense it.
This is the circuit where we're going to see people show us if they've got it or they haven't.
It's a pressure cooker.
Well, that one's for you, Ben. Welcome back to the All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. We've got another incredible weekend of action for you. A ton of fun today, and here's what it's all about. It's week 2 of our 5-week championship where we've brought together a huge grid of real-world drivers, some of the best sim racers in the world, and some of the biggest legends of motorsport. Drivers that include Jenson Button, Emerson Fittipaldi, Dario Franchitti, Juan Pablo Montoya, who will all be racing in our Legends Trophy. We also currently have stars in Formula 1, World Endurance Championship, Formula E, and Indycar, as well as some of the biggest manufacturers like Bentley Motorsport, Mercedes-AMG Petronas, Aston Martin, and BMW in the Pro Cup. And then, of course, like I said, we've got the fastest sim drivers in the world in the Sim Masters Championship. All of this action goes down in the virtual world using one of the most realistic sims that we have available in R Factor 2. And like we said, it is week number 2. I'm joined again by Julian Palmer. My name is Matt Trivet, and we bring you a ton of action in what is our new format. And I think last week, Julian, it was pretty epic. I think it worked out very well.
I think last week was our best ever week. So really excited for this one. I think the cars were good. High power single seaters, back to the old Brabham as well for the legends. And the reverse grid format last week was brilliant as well. So can't wait.
Yeah. Well, and we're touching on that because it's a reverse grid of qualifying. So even if something goes wrong in the race, maybe you get taken out early, you can't just sit back. You still got to be super aggressive. But as we said, we did change things up. And I think you're right. This is why it worked. We now have split things up from the pro and sim guys into the and then everyone's favorite, the Legends Trophy. That's been a ton of fun. As you mentioned as well, they're in the Brabham. We used the Malaysian GP circuit last week. It was very good. It was wide open. I think it had a lot of great action, potential for drafting. Here's a look how the day goes down. We start with the Pro Cup race, followed by the Sim Masters. Legends immediately after that, and then all the reverse grid races to close out the day as we hit the halfway point just after the first Legends race. But this week we switch over as well to a different circuit. It is the Portuguese GP circuit, another long straightaway. And it's worth mentioning as well because you touched on it. We're back to single seaters. They do have DRS in the pro and sim categories.
Yeah, and I think we saw in the racing last week was just brilliant on the Malaysia circuit. And the Portuguese Grand Prix circuit last held a Formula One race in 1996. But they've even made some modifications since then. So good braking zones, long straights, DRS, as you say, for the pro drivers in their high power single seaters, the race formula of the race cars. So it's got good ingredients, this one.
Well, and the coolest thing as well is beyond just the drivers, we now have a manufacturer's cup as well. You could hear it at the start in the intro. Teams like BMW, like Bentley, we've got the championship standings for them and some other cool additions in the Sim Trophy as well. So here's a look at the Pro Cup with Mercedes leading the way. Great performance as well. I want to give a shout out to Anthony Davidson coming in and making his debut and super solid. Got a win in the reverse grid race. Bentley's looked good. Aston Martin, BMW, Williams. Venturi, a little bit slower start, but expect them to certainly step things up as they've got tons of talent on that roster as well. The Sim Trophy. Oh, okay. Excuse me. So I was going to go into the Sim Trophy because we've got some additions. Roman Grosjean's team's joining us. Hyundai's got two drivers in this week as well. But first and foremost, I think Mika Salo is standing by, so I don't want to keep him waiting. As he's obviously going to be taking part again today in our Legends Trophy. It's been a ton of fun. Mika, how are you today? And first and foremost, are you looking forward to it?
Yes, I'm ready and I'm doing okay.
Yeah. You're presumably still in quarantine, so I'm sure. How's this sim stuff treated you? It's given us all some great entertainment, but have you been enjoying the experience and getting to race with some friends?
Yeah, it's good fun. Yes, I've been doing rally sims most of the time and just by myself, and it's been really good fun. And then this race Legends came up, and it's tough actually. It's the guys are so competitive, so I'm totally lost with all my setups and everything. So I just have to learn a bit more.
How much time have you been putting in to actually get ready each week?
Oh, I just started like 1 hour ago.
I love it. I love it. Well, maybe the rally instincts will help because it's been pretty chaotic in the Legends race. Who's been the quickest in practice, or is there anyone that you need to beat? Maybe Petter Solberg to prove a point?
It's the same guys always. I think Petter is spending a lot of time on the machine because he has always his setup right. And I think Lime Rock race, he did a 500 laps practice. Everybody else did like 12. So he was really on it. But he has perfect setup for his car and for his hardware. It's always same guys. Jenson, Montoya, all the same guys. They're always quick. Pirro. They always same guys. So they obviously have found something in the hardware setup which is better than we have.
Well, perfect. Thanks so much. Best of luck to you today. And we'll be certainly watching with keen eyes. With that, we're going to get ready to take our first break because we are going to get things started with qualifying very soon. Thanks, Mika.
Thank you.
And welcome back, everyone. To those of you joining us on Eurosport, we certainly welcome you to the broadcast as we keep things rolling and we get ready to move into our first race. Julian Palmer standing by with me. Obviously, last week was fantastic. We started to touch on some of the sim racing pro teams, but one of the highlights, I think, last week as well had to be four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel joining us and had a great performance in the second race. But there's so many good names in this Legends Trophy, Julian.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely star-studded, and Vettel was right up there with the best of them last week. Great to see him getting involved. But yeah, I mean, Mika Salo, they're just earlier just talking about, who to watch out for, but there's so many of them. The level's getting better. Jenson Button clearly is probably the favorite still. But you've got Juan Pablo Montoya, you've got Emanuele Pirro, and Magnussen as well has been really quick. Honestly, it's just getting better and better every week. And with Sebastian Vettel joining last week, it was great to see. This is some of his action, and he was right in the thick of it.
Yeah, you can see him here going by Max Papis, another name that's been with us just about every single week. Tony Kanaan has certainly made appearances and certainly appearances toward the front of the grid. I do think this Brabham car is very well suited. It's not all straightforward, though. Seb got introduced to it the hard way as he found the grass a few times. I think everybody does in the Legends Trophy at least once. But overall, yeah, I think this circuit last week in Malaysia was fantastic overall. And I'm hoping that the Portugal GP circuit can be the same this week. Because again, it's an old school GP track. It's a little bit more flowing in some ways, but it's quite technical and tight in Sector 3, Julian.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's similar in many ways. The characteristics, long straights, fast, sort of sweeping corners and some long corners with big braking zones as well. Seb last week, I mean, he was in the thick of it really from the off, but he was down on a lot of practice. So he started towards the front on the reverse grid race, and then he had that spin that we saw as well, which is a shame because he was running well. But I'm hopeful that we might see more of him, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. If we do, it would be great to have him either way. Like we say, so many great names. We've got a number of them joining in again today. They're all warming up at home, I'm sure, getting ready to jump into it. Here's a look through some of them. It's, again, the usual suspects. Mike Epps, actually interesting to talk about. He's in the sort of top middle, I guess, third from the right. He's actually in the Sim trophy because he was too good for the rest of the pros in Sim, which is pretty remarkable to see some of the skill coming through on those guys. But yeah, it's early days and early doors on this particular race. I'm sure all of them are getting the practice in on the circuit, getting ready for the cars. And of course, that means we're going to do the same. I'm excited because I think that this weekend could be every bit as good, if not better, just because of how tight some of the circuit is as well. We'll find out very shortly if that's going to be the case when we come back after this. And welcome back to the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. It's another weekend, another great championship ahead of us. It's all to play for because week one had the reverse grid and some different results. And joining us to take us through it, as he is every single week, is Jack Nichols, who's now on the line. Jack, Julian and I have just been talking on how last week was probably the best week we've had in all of the, I guess, I want to say series. They've been different championships, but all of the weekends that we've done.
I was pretty strong last week and said that we have the best sim racing event of all time or something. And I think I stand by that. You know, you had a great field of drivers in the pro drivers. You have the Legends in the Legends Trophy, all around a great circuit. And we've got the Formula race cars as well, which really added to the excitement and the overtaking. So I'm really looking forward to this weekend. One of the big things for me was the Malaysia track last week was really good for these kind of cars. And hopefully Portugal will be the same.
Well, we'll look at Portugal now for those of you who maybe are younger and don't remember it. As Julian said, it's actually been since 1996 that it last hosted a Grand Prix race. Certainly, it's still active within different series of racing. I think World Touring Car went there for a period of time. But there it is, another long, great front straight, big sweeping corner, almost like a parabolica style to get onto it. But that could be great for the DRS in the pro races, Julian.
Yeah, it's called Parabolica, the final corner. The Parabolica Ayrton Senna, the final corner, and there's an inside Parabolica just inside it as well. So, yeah, that's going to be the big one. And I've never actually driven this circuit, but I know, well, my dad raced it in Formula One. And he said that was always such a tricky corner, the Parabolica at the end. And works the necks, maybe not on the simulator. That's a nice blessing for these guys. But it's still an important corner because it leads onto that long straight.
Yeah, well, and I think that, again, this circuit, it'll be interesting with the Brabhams in that corner more so. They've got a little less downforce, a little more grunt on those tires, but the Formula race car through there should be epic, and people who get it right are potentially going to have an amazing draft all the way down that straightaway. Speaking of one of those pro drivers that will be in the Formula race car, Al Buncombe is on the line. Alex Buncombe last week had a phenomenal battle with Esteban Gutierrez, and I'm keen to see if he's excited for more, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to have you with us, Al. How's it going? We were all, it felt like your first sort of R Factor 2 experience last week, and you were straight out there at the front.
It certainly was, mate. Yeah, it was my first time on the sim, and albeit done a bit on Assetto Corsa for Bentley in that, and obviously we entered this. But to be honest, for myself and Seb, it was really hard work. So different to the main GT3 car that we obviously drive, and to jump into these Renault 3.5s around Malaysia was really tough. And I got to be honest, I was totally shocked to get pole position. In practice, I was like P15, P16. I thought if I can be mid sort of field, I'd be happy. And got to quali and stuck it up there. And I got to be honest, yeah, the pressure got to me there at the end a bit with Esteban. We had a good little fight, and these cars are really hard to drive. And I just wanted to try and win the race as slowly as I could do, but unfortunately made a bit of a mistake, and he got to within the DRS range, and unfortunately caught me, made a bit of a mistake, and had to defend, which lost the rear end, as you guys all saw, and we had a bit of a coming together. But a really great race, first time for Bentley as well. So to come away from the first round, leading the championship, for myself can't be bad. So on to Portugal now. It's going to be a tough race, but we'll see how we go.
Great. Best of luck, Alex. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers, mate.
See you later. So yeah, a little bit surprised then, Alex Buncan, wasn't he, to be doing so well?
I think it's very cool, first and foremost, to see Bentley involved in something that is an open, a formula car, an open wheel car, because of course, legendary brand, go back to Le Mans as well. They've got a victory there. There is the lineup for each. The other one to mention is Hyundai's in now as well, with Bradley Smith and Gabby Chavez. Now we go Gabby as well is actually going to be representing them in TCR in North America in a Hyundai, but to have Bradley Smith picked up through this series, it just goes to show what kind of promotion that they're getting. But here is a look throughout all of them. Jillian, some cool ones there. Of course, Manuel Carrera comes back in. Lachlan DiFrancesco from karting. Obviously, his brother Devlin's done very well in single-seaters. There's some fantastic names that are going to be joining us. Sebastian Montoya, probably going to be taking some time away from, Juan Pablo's practice, but both those guys very capable. Super excited for it. We'll see more and more when we get back. Well, we've alluded to it. We've looked at a map of it, but let's get it on board, because this Portugal GP circuit is quite underrated, in my opinion, and doesn't even get the credit it deserves in the sim world sometime. I think it's fantastic. I'll let maybe, Jillian, you start on this, because you've got some experience perhaps through your father, like you said, you hadn't been there. But we're in the Brabham, and this is turn one.
Yep, that's about it really for me. Having never driven here, I've heard the stories. I know roughly where the track goes, but this is a bit of an adventure into the unknown. So nice, fast, sweeping corners, and this turn 3 here is going to be is sort of typical of the Estoril circuit. Straight into turn 4, left-hander, and the exit here is going to be critical because it leads on to a long straight with what I think is just a little bit of a kink in the middle of it, which, yeah, the Brabham easy flat through there as well. So this is the interior parabolica down here, turn 6, and this could be an overtaking place. It'd be interesting to see if we see a few lunges up the inside there, maybe.
Curious as well, obviously, once we get into sector 3, Jack.
So it's a cool track, this one, and it's a lovely setting down in Portugal, just near the little town of Cascais, which is all on the sea, and yeah, it's lovely. But we're getting towards this sort of big final few corners that are going to be really great out through 13. This is into the switchback at 9, and then into 10, 11, 12, 13, and I think there's sort of overtaking points all around this track, which is good to see, especially with it's going to be very lively with the Legends cars, I think, isn't it?
Have you been here, Jack?
Yeah, one time.
Did you get around it?
No, I was filming. I think I was filming ELMS stuff or something. I wasn't even fit. This was back in the days where I was the guy who carried the tripod round. The Speed Euro Series, that's what it was called. Speed Euro Series.
Well, someone has to do it. Look, this whole series has been so much fun, and a lot of it wouldn't have been possible without Rocket. Their smartphones obviously are getting very near the leading the way. I love this 3D technology, I would say, but you can actually get a chance to win one of these by heading over to their website. We'll put that down below for you now, but it's rocketphones.com. You enter a contest simply by naming the 2 Williams Rocket Formula One drivers for the 2020 season, and that's it. Bob's your uncle, you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also a special offer for earbuds, and you can actually get the phone at the moment for £69, which is really impressive value, I have to say, or £99 with the earbuds in as well. So really cool piece of kit, the 3D stuff.
I weigh a lot more than that, so I think I get a few. That's £1, right? That's how that works.
Good joke.
Yes, thanks. Just bringing the North America into it, man. We'll get all the bad jokes out of the way now, but we will get the racing underway very, very soon, and we look forward to it. The Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones, is about to power its way into race number 1 of the day. It's the Pro Sim that starts things off, and as we mentioned, they had an epic battle last week in the Malaysian circuit. We talked to one of the drivers already, Alex Buncombe, but we've got a bit of a head-to-head before we get into qualifying. And Jack, this is really turning out to be an incredible series. Anthony Davidson, I gave him a shout-out. He was a huge surprise last week for Mercedes.
Surprised himself a little bit. He had reverse grid pole position and then just disappeared up the road. So a very strong performance from Anthony Davidson. I don't think we've quite seen the best yet of Nicky Team, the Aston Martin driver, who's the current World Endurance GTE Pro points leader. Hasn't quite got the results at the front of the field. He's always there, kind of in the top 10, but I'd like to see a sort of breakthrough podium for Nicky Team. I think he's deserving of it.
He's been a sim racer forever, a streamer as well. Julian, I think we're getting ready to get on track, so I'm going to let you two jump straight into qualifying because it looks exciting.
Yep, so we have cars on track then, and this is James Headley out on circuit in the Formula race car, coming through the left-hander of turn number 4, I think, and then out onto this back straight. And as far as the championship is concerned, coming into this race, it is Alex Buncombe, who we spoke to, who's at the top of the championship, 4 points ahead of Esteban Gutierrez in the Mercedes, and they are 10 points, or Buncombe is 10 points clear of Esteban Gurrieri and Gabby Chavez, with Charlie Eastwood completing the top 5. And here is Esteban Gutierrez now, round the final corner, and this long right-hander of turn 13, out over the start-finish straight, and down towards turn 1 then for Gutierrez. This is his outlap, and now he starts his flyer into the first corner. There you can see him in the bottom left.
Probably going to be a one-lap wonder, might be 2 for any early birds that can get on track quickly. Gutierrez might just about get a second lap in if he does this one well. But we'll have to see then if the tyres hold on, because we didn't get that last time out in Malaysia, so that's something else to look out for. I'm just so surprised by Al Buncombe, who was really quick last time. He thought maybe he'd be midfield. Anthony Davidson thought he'd be midfield. One guy was on pole, the other got a win, albeit in the reverse grid race, but he had great pace. So it shows how close all these guys are as Gutierrez heads into the interior parabolica at turn 6.
Here comes Gutierrez then. We'll keep an eye, and you can see Alex Buncombe in the top right there. I think Bentley have got a new livery for this weekend, haven't they? Which is nice and smart. As Gutierrez comes through that quick right-hander, which gets very narrow up there and then loops around through turn 12 and out through the final corner at 13 down the start-finish straight. So this will give us a bit of a benchmark time. I think you're right that they could get in 2 laps here as Gutierrez comes across the line. Maybe in these Formula race cars they'll have taken a little too much out of the tyres, but it's a 1 minute 17.3 is the lap time from Gutierrez as we go on board now with Buncombe coming out of the final corner. In a moment we'll see the times on the tower on the left-hand side. Here comes Buncombe across the line. It's currently Smith who's quickest. Agustin Canapino is second. Buncombe goes 7th. Nicky Team is 3rd. Norman Nato is 4th. And the top 4 separated by less than a 1/10 of a second. That is tight.
Super tight. Here comes Tatiana Calderon across the line. What can she do? She's a little bit further away there in her first effort with us, actually. So good to see her involved. Bit of a lock-up as well. And she will get a second lap in if the tyres will hold on as well. So, yeah, good to see her out there. Bit of pace to find. But look how close it is at the top. Colado's pumped in a time to go 8th. Anthony Davidson then is 9th. And then Tom Ingram rounding out the top 10 just at the moment, but still within half a second around a track that's got quite a few corners and it's more than a minute long. So, yeah, it's very, very close.
Martin Plowman across the line, and it's 23rd place for Plowman. And it's still Bradley Smith on provisional pole position, who has done a very good job in these races, so much so that he's been picked up, he and Gabby Chavez, by Hyundai in their debut in the race series. So great to have Hyundai entering a team to go head-to-head with the likes of Bentley and Mercedes. Plowman on a second lap, but I don't think it'll count for much because he's going to run out of time. So, and Tom Dillman, the former Formula E racer, to the top of the times now on a 1 minute 17.148, half a tenth quicker than Bradley Smith. So it's Tom Dillman, I think, who's going to take pole position. We've got 30 seconds left on the clock. We'll see if anybody's out there who can take it. Here's Gabby Chavez, not set a lap time yet. Chavez goes 15th. That's a little bit disappointing for Chavez there, I'd say.
I think so, yeah. Look how close the times are, though. Ingram's still 10th, but now less than 3/10 separating Dillman, who's lowered the benchmark, to the edge of the top 10. Super, super close. Here's Seb Morris, the other Bentley driver, alongside Al Buncombe. Can he jump up? Because he's down in 25th at the moment, and he has done, hasn't he, with that?
Yeah, so it is Tom Dillman who takes pole position for race 1. Bradley Smith alongside him on the front row of the grid. But a very good performance there from Tom Dillman. Gutierrez 3rd, Canapino 4th, Dicky Team in 5th position. So here's a look at the grid. Tom Dillman on pole position for the first race in the Pro Cup around Portugal. Bradley Smith 2nd. Esteban Gutierrez, the man 2nd in the championship, is in 3rd spot. So that's very good for his championship standings. Dicky Team and Charlie Eastwood doing a good job for Aston Martin to be in 5th and 7th places. The Rocket Venturi driver, Norman Nato, is in 6th place. Alex Buncombe in 8th. Then we've got James Collado in 9th position, fresh from doing the Formula E race a few minutes ago. Tom Ingram completes the top 10. Anthony Davidson, strong qualifying. 11th place then for the Mercedes driver, better than he managed in the first race last week. Harry Tinknell's 13th on the grid. Then we've got Jack Aitken, the Formula 2 racer, in 15th. Esteban Guerrieri is lining up in 16th on the grid. Philip Eng in 17th for BMW. Johnny Adam is in 18th place ahead of Archie Hamilton in 19th. Seb Morris in the other Bentley completing the top 20. And then we've got Devlin DeFrancesco. And Seb Priaulx is going to be 22nd. Yaya Fay is 23rd. But here comes the start of the race, the first of 2 for the Pro Cup racers, and away they go. It's a very good start from Bradley Smith. He gets ahead of Tom Dillman into turn 1. Smith in the red car has the inside line. We're on board with Gabby Chavez further back, so keep an eye out on that if you want to see the carnage. But it is Smith who is in 1st place, Dillman 2nd. Agustin Canapino, the Argentinian, has managed to get him into 3rd position in the early stages, and Dillman goes very defensive into turn 2. All this is allowing Bradley Smith in the bottom left to pull away quite a decent lead as they come out onto the back straight for the first time.
Dreamy start from Smith. Got the perfect level of traction versus wheel spin. Just managed to get the rear tyres gripping, and just probably less revs than Dillman, and jumped into the lead fairly unopposed there. Just did it nicely on the inside down to turn 1. Dillman's done well to hang on there because Canapino is really close as well. But look at that, already 6.5 tenths for Smith. And this is Hyundai's first race in it as well. New driver, and they're out front.
Very strong performance then. Tom Dillman in 2nd place as they come into the right-hander of turns 10, then through 11, and the double back at 12, and then the final Parabolica corner, and out onto the start-finish straight again to complete lap 1. We were just on board with Bruno Spengler, who's in 20th place at the moment, but it's Bradley Smith leading the way. Gutierrez crucially dropped a few places. You can see Smith trying to lose the slipstream from Tom Dillman, and Dillman, he closed in quite a lot using the slipstream, and that's before DRS has been activated. We've still got a couple of laps before DRS is activated, but even without that, the slipstream looks strong.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we had a spinner in the background there at turn 1, but everyone seems to be continuing in the top 10, so it must have been my eyes deceiving me. But yeah, the slipstream seems strong. That's going to be a problem for Bradley Smith if Dillman can stay within a second, because when DRS is open, he's going to be really coming under a lot of pressure down turn 1. That straight is long. And this one's quite long as well. Canapino not quite close enough to Dillman. But that's going to be another one. They're all going to concertina up behind Smith, who is not getting away.
The yellow flag out there in Sector 3. Alex Buncombe, championship leader, running in 8th place at the moment. James Collado got a good start and made up a couple of places. Here's a replay on board down into the first corner. I think this is with Norman Nato. Whoa! That's 2 places, thank you very much. Nicely done.
Screamer of a move. Look, I never thought he was going to stop that, going in that much later on the brakes than the two ahead. But great move from Nato.
Here comes Tom Dillman across the line down towards turn 1, and Bradley Smith is having to cover the inside line. Dillman in the yellow car to the outside. The Frenchman tries to send it all the way around the outside. Smith holds it in on the inside in the red car, but he can't get it done down into turn 2. So Tom Dillman back into the lead where he started on pole position. Agustin Canapino thinking about a fight behind, but no move to be made there. We're on board with Canapino as he comes up into the left-hander.
Dillman's gone wide. Dillman went really wide at the apex there. That's, or maybe it's actually gave him a straighter exit potentially. He might have done it on purpose because he's just gapped Bradley Smith, and now Canapino close down towards turn 6. Bumpy braking zones at this circuit, particularly down at turn 1. You see a lot of front lockups, but again there from Bradley Smith ahead, just a bit of a front lockup. It's quite a bumpy track. It's quite undulating. It looks great when we get the off-board shots. I think it looks fantastic circuit, but yeah, bumpy makes it so much trickier. Smith slightly wide of the apex there as well, and Canapino is going to be reeling him in. Look how close he is there.
Final corner now, you can see the understeer that Canapino's getting in the dirty air as he has to turn the wheel full right, but now's going to be the opportunity down into turn 1. Tom Dillman has got a 0.6 of a second advantage. Canapino closing. Does he fancy it into the first corner? Pulls out. Not quite enough. The Williams Esports driver who's been sim racing for a lot of years, as well as racing in the South American S2000 Championship from, you may remember, 5 or 6 years ago, I want to say Canapino was racing in that. So a very experienced real racer in what it was a really cool championship down there in South America. But that's by the by. I don't need to get bogged down in Argentinian touring cars. But Dillman out in front.
Aitken's had a bit of a spin, I think, from the edge of the top 10, so he's dropped down in sector 1. But yeah, Dillman out front, now nearly a second clear. Smith is holding back Canapino. Nicky Team, who is having a good race, as you said you thought he was capable of. He's right there in 4th, hoping for that first podium. And then Esteban Gutierrez as well, who's in early championship contention. He's in 5th, and they're all stuck behind Bradley Smith, who's just allowing Dillman to scamper away right now a little bit quicker. Made that lovely move around the outside at turn 1, and now he's reaping the rewards, just over a second clear of Smith. Smith won't have DRS.
And it is still Tom Dillman, who is fairly comfortably leading at the moment. He's got over a second to Bradley Smith in 2nd place, with Canapino in 3rd. Philip Eng is trying to make a move up in the top left that you can see, top right in the inset there, but it's still Tom Dillman out in front for the moment. Esteban Gutierrez trying to make progress as we go on board. Oh, this is going to be an interesting one, isn't it? 3 wide down into the first corner.
Very fair racing. Philip Eng in the middle, but he got jumped by, was that Tristan Vautier coming past both of them, or just defending very hard? I'm not sure, but somehow they all managed to survive. I think Kevin Hansen was the driver now slipping out of the top 10 just behind, who got passed there by Philip Eng, but super close racing all the way down. Just Tom Dillman out front, just about managing to get away. Here we go, Eng now to the outside of Vautier, who knows he's there and just covers the inside. Still Vautier covering the inside then. Oh, Eng super close to the back of the Frenchman. Now through the twistier section, you wouldn't have thought he'd be able to make a pass here, Philip Eng. He's quick, right on the back of Vautier. Now he just needs to keep really, really close, because Vautier is just over a second away from Norman Nato ahead and won't get DRS. Gutierrez inset is looking for a move on Nicky Team. Big lockup as well from Smith, who's been passed by Canapino. So Canapino up to 2nd, Smith 3rd, and Gutierrez has passed Team for 4th as well. It's all action.
Very, very busy then all the way through the order as they come into turn 1 again. Still, though, Tom Dillman is well clear of all of the chaos as we go on board with Esteban Gutierrez up in the top right, who's in that 4th place ahead of Nicky Team. Can he now try and close in on Bradley Smith?
Philip Eng that was, who was spun round at turn 1, so shame for him in that fight. I think that was with Kevin Hansen as well. But yeah, here we go then. At the front, it's getting very close. And now Nicky Team still with Gutierrez. Smith still with Canapino. No one's getting away apart from Tom Dillman, who's doing a very, very good job out front.
Lap 6 of 10 then in the Race All-Star Series. This is the Pro Cup element of the race. And we have got Tom Dillman out in front, Canapino in second, Bradley Smith in third, Gutierrez fourth. Nicky Team is in fifth position with Eastwood, Ingram, Nato, Vautier completing the top 9 at the moment as we look at this replay.
Yeah, this is going to be... I think Eng was wheel spinning actually, and then basically in trying to correct it, came back along the inside and hit Hansen. So I think it was actually Eng losing it on his own, really. A little bit like Nicky Team's just done there, running wide, washing in the dirty air of Gutierrez. And now look, Gutierrez is up the road and all over the back of Bradley Smith, and he's got no pressure from behind, which would be a nice bit of respite to try and take away that third place from Smith.
So laps 7 of 10, and this is a really strong drive this from Tom Dillman, isn't it? Because it was so competitive in qualifying, everybody less than a tenth of a second apart, but Dillman's just driving away.
And from Canapino as well, it's not just Bradley Smith. Smith is similar enough on pace with Canapino. He's got his mirrors full of Esteban Gutierrez, which won't be helping his pace right now, but Dillman, super quick. I was a bit surprised Dillman wasn't quicker probably in the Malaysia race last week, to be honest. He was looking quick in the last weeks that we've had, and I think this is more like it from Tom Dillman. Here we go though for Gutierrez, 2 tenths behind Smith. Smith's going to struggle to hold this one back, surely on the main straight.
Here they down towards the right-hander of turn 1. Smith moves over, covers the inside. Gutierrez to the outside in the silver Mercedes. Big lockup from Smith. And he holds onto the place for the time being, but Nicky Team right in behind. We're on board with Team now. In the Aston Martin, Gutierrez goes wide. That's Team's opportunity. Surely he can get this move done and up into 4th place.
Gutierrez has the inside though. Lock up again ahead from Smith, who's probably on flat-spotted tyres by now. Gutierrez somehow holds on. He was lucky that the next corner was a left-hander, because that mistake gave Team the inside for turn 3, but then the outside for 4, and again the outside for 6 as Gutierrez defends. But one little mistake, just dropping a wheel off, and it drags the whole car onto the grass. Same as Team did on the last lap. Gutierrez has returned the favour, and now Nicky Team all over the back of the Mexican, who's now having to absorb the pressure for himself here. Dillman's lost a load of time out front. Dillman's only 1 second now to Canapino, so he's made a big mistake somewhere.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting in the closing stages. And Canapino in 2nd place, less than a second away now. You can see Nicky Team in the top right. Gutierrez running in 4th, Team in 5th as we look back from the Mercedes driver.
Gutierrez past Smith then. Nice move up the inside, late on the brakes, and got the job done really well there. Gutierrez, Smith's struggling. I think he's losing the tyres now. Scrabbling at the rear, locking a lot at the front, and now he's got Nicky Team, who we go on board with. The Aston Martin driver, he's going to have a nice run now. Bradley Smith's turning into more and more of a sitting duck as this race goes on, and I wonder if Tom Dillman might be struggling with the same thing. Maybe he's used too much of the tyres too early, because Canapino is getting a little bit closer for the race lead. Team not able to get through on Smith that time at turn 6.
Dillman, though, continues to deliver. You're right. He is losing pace, and I'm a bit surprised to see that Bradley Smith fell so far down the order. I thought maybe with the cushion at the start, he'd be able to be a little bit more generous to the tires. But I got to give credit to Nicky Team. I said he's an experienced sim racer, and you can see how patient he's being. A lot of people try and force the issue in sim, and it doesn't quite work out. He's been very generous to Gutierrez when he was off, and now with Smith, tries to get the run around the outside. Further back, though, Jug Benoit, we haven't seen a lot of him, and Bruno Spangler. So Spangler and Eng both having some dramas down toward the back of the order. Not a good showing, unfortunately, for BMW as a result, because those two guys have been so consistent in sim over the last few weeks. So we'll have to see if they can get things turned around when we do go reverse grid. Still a battle on their hands, and every position certainly important for them, but not quite what we expect, especially from Eng, who's been very dynamic across the board.
Yeah, final lap, and look at the inset. Canapino right with Tom Dillman, less than half a second in it. We're watching that battle with Eng and Spengler, and that's all about to get tasty, I think, down at turn 1. But looking set, with half a lap to go in the race, we're on the final lap, 10 out of 10. And looking back at Tom Dillman, looking at Canapino, who's managed to reel in that gap as someone goes walkies down at turn 3. Canapino's not got an obvious overtaking chance, though, Canapino. And he's getting closer and closer, 3/10 in it.
We get back up front. This is looking back. Canapino all over him, but is only going to have one corner left as they head on to the final straight. As I say, DRS might give a chance, but he's going to need a heck of a run. And if not, it's going to be Dillman delivering on race number 1, and it looks like he's got just enough of a gap.
Big drive from Tom Dillman
there.
Across the line to take the win, just 2/10 ahead of Agustin Canapino. Esteban Gutierrez in 3rd. Smith will finish in 4th. And that is good news for Gutierrez. In fact, I think that moves Gutierrez to the top of the championship standings with that 3rd place. Anthony Davidson's going to come across the line in 16th. There's points all the way down the order, so it's worth fighting all the way down. Davidson across the line in 16th position, just ahead of Jack Aitken, Martin Plowman, Bruno Spengler, and Seb Morris. So, Dillman takes the win, Canapino 2nd, Gutierrez 3rd. What a good race that was. And Canapino, Jolien, just needed a little bit more time, didn't he? One more lap, and I think he might have done it.
I think one more corner and he would have done it. He saved those tyres, and it was critical to take the fight to Dillman, but he lost too much time early on, probably behind Bradley Smith. Dillman made it through, remember, much earlier, around the outside, lovely move, and ultimately building that buffer just meant he hung on to win the race. Great drive.
Well, I think Bradley Smith is standing by, obviously, on Hyundai's debut in a Formula car. That N looks excellent on the side of the Formula Race chassis. But Bradley, you had an amazing start, great gap. Didn't quite go to plan at the end. Was it tires? What was going on?
Yeah, I think it was more a bit of my driving. Just ran out of the front left, just pushing a bit too hard at the start. You know, I tried to break the toe and obviously try and get away, and ended up going backwards towards the end. But no, great race, and good to get a good result for Hyundai.
Jolien mentioned some observations of braking bumps. Was there a bit to lock it up? Was it actually a bit challenging not to keep that from locking up?
Yeah, it's quite a tricky circuit. You know, there's quite a few really big bumps, and you've got to hit them in a specific way. And if you do, it just sits the car down and you get a mega drive out. But if not, you're going round. So, you know, these cars around this track are really tricky to drive. You know, and the guys in front, they just didn't make any mistakes. So, yeah, it's great racing.
Well, still great points as well for Hyundai as you guys get into it. Thanks very much, Bradley. Great race. We'll see you in race number 2.
See you then.
Pretty impressive opening race, Jolien. I'd had some interesting dynamics because we had someone break the toe. Formerly, we've seen when that happens, they're able to get away. But as Bradley alluded to, the tires are hard to manage.
Yeah, there's two things. The slipstream is big. The main straight is big, which makes the slipstream big. The DRS effect is nice as well. We had some good battles down at turn 1, not even just at the front. Obviously, the change in the lead, the change in 2nd, and then 3rd place as well. But further back, loads of scraps. But then those tyres, they're going to be tricky. This is a high-power single-seater, and you've got to manage particularly the rear tyres, but also with braking, sometimes the front. All those little puffs of smoke from a lockup, that's damaging the front tyres. The traction's tricky because you got all the horsepower in the back. So you've got tyre wear, which wasn't really a thing in the last series that we had, but this series, these cars, these tracks that are good but tricky, they make more dynamics.
Well, I love it because it adds more of a mental game for the driver, and we have to see the skill come through in both management and in racecraft and pace. Speaking of someone who would know a lot about that, Antonio Liuzzi, is joining us, of course, again for the Legends Trophy, and I think he's standing by with Jack to look forward to that.
Yeah. Hey, Tonio, how's it going? Great to have you in the Legends Trophy. A pretty strong race, I felt, last week for you.
Hi, everybody. Yes, definitely. I'm looking forward to this next event because every time we've been getting better and better. Actually, I complicated my life this week because I changed my kit, my driving kit, and I had problem to set it up. But I'm looking forward to this race because I think this one is a more professional one. I was really pissed off to see Jenson flying, Juan Pablo flying, so I tried to improve also my kit because this sim racing needs a lot of training, a lot of experience. But, you know, it's always competition. Even if it's for fun, you want to win. So I'm trying to improve my level.
How much sim racing had you done before, you know, this lockdown and everybody's inside? Did you already have everything set up, or are you new to it all?
Nothing at all. Since we started with our championship, was like the first week I started with sim racing. But obviously we are all really competitive. And even if it's sim racing and not reality, we all want to win in competitions. And that's why I always try to improve a little bit more. And I'm doing even different championship in different kind of server. So I'm having fun in GT, in Formula One Modern Formula One, in the Legend Cup. So it's good. I'm having a lot of fun. It's good for this lockdown to keep ourselves trained. But we all want to win. So we always want to raise to the next level.
Are you finding it difficult changing from car to car?
It is really difficult because every different program has got a different setting tuning for your driving kit. And obviously your driving style, you have to tune it. I'm only complicating my life, but I like challenge. I love always to fight myself in different challenge. And, you know, I'm having fun trying to entertain myself during this quarantine.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tonio. Good luck.
Thank you.
Very cool to hear from him. Just a shout out on a personal note, always had one of my favorite helmet designs because it was symmetrical, but different colors on each side. And I always thought that was a cool way to do it. I wish more people would do that, actually. I think helmet designs are pretty special. But so is this Legends race, Jack. And obviously he's touched on a lot of fine points there.
Yeah. Forward to the Legends race. It's really, really entertaining. The reverse grid race later is going to be really busy. But the names we have, Dario Franchitti, Jan Magnussen, who both caused a huge pile-up at Estoril in the DTM in the 90s. Jenson Button, really, really can't wait for the Legends race a little bit later on.
Well, one race of 6 down as we get into the Sim Masters on the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. And this race has some of the highest talent in the entire sim world. It also includes Mike Epps and Dennis Lind, who are so good in the Pro Cup. They've been brought over, but this has a lot to play for because we know how open, I guess it is, in terms of who has the skill to win, who has won on previous weekends in this series, and certainly as well the fact that there are manufacturers and teams at play, Jack.
Some new teams entering for this one. You just saw it on the last page. The GWVC All-Stars are going to be ones to watch out for. They've entered 3 drivers. These are the drivers who are not associated with teams. We've got Petter Berliak, who's always going to be a front runner. There's Mike Epps, who you mentioned as well, and Yuri Toman too. So some really, really strong races in this. And just like in the Pro Cup, as you mentioned, there is the teams championship up for grabs as well.
Absolutely. And one of our first that we have to look at from Burst Esports is a head-to-head of Michi Hoyer, who does all forms of sim racing. He's on more than anyone I know in terms of hours that he puts in. And then Yuri Simoncic, who's been very solid throughout, Jack.
Simoncic, very, very strong. He won the first ever The Race All-Star Esports Battle, which was back in the middle of March. Then we go back to high-powered single-seaters, and he was quick again. So the cars are on the circuit now, and we'll see what Jurnej Simoncic can do, whether he can grab another pole position and another win. And we're on board with the championship leader then. As far as points are concerned, Simoncic has got a 4-point lead over Bono Huis in second place. It's then 7 points back to Michael Romanidis, 11 to Yuri Kastorp, and 13 to Risto Capit and Michi Hoyer. Here's Boya Milan coming out and across the line down towards turn 1. And we're going to get our first lap times in here. Milan cuts the timing beam and it's a 1:17.513. It's Nikodem Wisniewski who's currently quickest on a 1:16.603. 300ths ahead of Alex Siebel. Simoncic third, Berliak fourth, Capit fifth, Huis and Lee the top 7 at the moment as we're on board with the Williams esports driver Nikodem Wisniewski, who was in the battle for the championship in the last season, Jolyon, but provisional pole here is a good effort.
Yeah, he didn't have a great time of it last week, but oh, what's happened there?
I think he ran wide and made a mistake, so I think he's abandoned it.
Yeah, I think he's called it a day on that one. So it's looking like he might have squeezed another lap in, but maybe these guys know that there's only one lap to be had, and it looks like Simoncic agrees, third place, and pulling it back to the pit. So great job from Wisniewski. Bono Huis does improve and goes fifth. And with Simoncic accelerating again, I'm not sure, but he's not going to have time to start another lap anyway.
Mo Patel across the line down towards the first corner. Does he manage to improve from 19th place? No, he does not. Here's Alan Terzic, who is currently lying in 10th place in the standings. He was second in race one, but then, no, apologies. He was the winner in the second race, but didn't finish in race one. Lucas Blakely goes into 8th place. But it looks as though it's going to be Nikodem Wisniewski, unless someone has a really impressive lap, who's going to take pole position ahead of Alex Siebel in second, Jene Simoncic third, Peter Berliak fourth, Bono Huis in fifth. And as you say, I think that these drivers at this level know they only get really one lap out of the tyres, as Wisniewski doing practice starts at the end of the pit lane. That's a cunning way to use a little bit of extra time.
Yeah, and get yourself a DQ in real life for that. But yeah, he's done a good job. He's on pole, and now he wants to make sure he keeps it down to the first corner. But clearly, these tyres just good enough for one lap, and probably that will be the same for the pro drivers. But they were maybe not as up to the limit straight away on one lap, but for the sim guys, one lap, and they realise they probably can't improve from that.
So we've got another race coming up for you around this Portugal GP circuit. It's going to be the Sim Masters, some of the best sim racers in the world going head-to-head around this race circuit. And then we'll be moving on to the legends. Jenson Button, Tonio Liuzzi, Dario Franchitti, Jan Magnussen, Emanuele Pirro, all going head-to-head in 1970s F1 cars. But here's the grid for the Sim Masters. Nikodem Wisniewski, the Williams esports driver, on pole position. Alex Siebel alongside him on the front row of the grid. Jene Simoncic is in third place. Bono Huis for Mercedes is in fifth ahead of his teammate Brendan Lee, who starts in seventh place. Lucas Blakely is in eighth. Risto Capit in between the Mercedes in sixth position. Then we got Yuri Kastorp in ninth. Rudy von Buren is completing the top 10. And then we've got Dennis Jordan in 11th, Dennis Lind in 12th position. Nuno Pinto 13th, Michi Hoyer 15th. Then we've got Liam de Waal, who is the first runner in the GPVWC All-Star team. He's starting in 16th place as the 20-year-old from just outside of Rotterdam. Yunus Raivio is 17th, Gergo Boldi in 18th, Kamil Pawlowski 19th, Mo Patel completing the top 20. So the cars on the grid getting ready to go, and we're underway. Very good start from Simoncic from third on the grid. He might get ahead of Alex Siebel here and up into second place, and he does. Does he fancy a challenge on Wisniewski into turn one? He does not. On board with Alex Siebel, who gets pushed out a little bit wide. Can Peter Berliak find the inside line? No. So the top four all line astern through turns 1 and 2. But Simoncic is up into second place, the championship leader.
Yeah, that's an important move there from Simoncic. Much like Bradley Smith in the last race, just got really good drive and left Siebel just slightly wheel spinning on the way down to turn 1. Then managed to pick a slipstream from Wisniewski and straight through. Now, Simoncic, this is going to be interesting because he won last week, not from pole. Yayovsky had the lead, but Simoncic just saved the tyres, bided his time, and managed to pass Yayovsky. Now, I think we might see something similar to Simoncic trying to pass Wisniewski now. He's crucially got into second. He needs to shake off Siebel, who's still with him here. But if he can, then we've got a race on, even though Wisniewski right now has opened up a 1.2 second lead already.
Yeah, this is a huge opening lap from Wisniewski. This is Sebastian Vettel-esque, isn't it? As he pulls away to 1.5 seconds at the end of lap 1. We're on board with Michi Hoyer now in 14th position, right in the slipstream of the 13th place driver, which is Manuel Biancalila, who he's trying to pass. The Italian looks to the outside. Can he get that job done? Oh, they're all late on the brakes. Michi Hoyer is Simoncic's teammate, and he's managed to gain that place. Someone's off on the inside. They didn't quite see who that was, but a big hit, and Michi Hoyer is up into 11th now as he makes his way past another driver. There you see him in the bottom left, or is he? He's still in 12th, I think.
Yeah, he's going side by side with Jourdain, that is, up, down at turn 5. They're still side by side, have been for a number of corners. This is for 11th place. Rudy Van Buren a second up the road, and a big spin there. Is that Yuri Kasdorp dropping down? I think it is.
Yep. So that means Rudy Van Buren is promoted up into 9th place. Brendan Lee in 7th place is just ahead of Dennis Lind. We're seeing Risto Capit up in the top right as we go back on board with Michi Hoyer, who's still in 11th place ahead of Manuel Biancalila. Coming through the final couple of corners now into the left-hander of turn 12, and then out through the final Parabolica corner at 13 to start lap 3 of 10. So DRS will be available from now onwards as they come across the line. And we're on board with Bono Huis running in 5th place, trying to make a move on Petter Berliak. Berliak covers the inside line. Huis sends it to the outside, but he won't be able to get all the way around the outside there, the Dutchman. And that could put him under a bit of pressure from Risto Capit behind.
Yeah, that's a tricky move there. Dillman managed to pull it off on Bradley Smith in the Pro Drivers race earlier, but he was actually a reasonable amount ahead before the braking zone. It's a very difficult move to try and outbrake someone and then go around the outside at turn 1, because you're probably just going to end up getting forced wide on the exit. So Bono Huis thought better of that one in the end. But look out front, nearly 2 seconds Wisniewski has on Jone Simoncic. I can only assume Simoncic is holding back, saving those tyres, and then we're going to see a late race charge and hopefully a battle for the lead. But right now, Wisniewski 2 seconds clear.
This man, Erhan Yajovski, in 22nd place, was the man battling for the lead a week ago, but now he's just passed Mike Epps to approach the teams. So a difficult race, this one for Erhan Yajovski, now part of the Romain Grosjean driver program. He and Risto Capit are in that team as we go on board with Nikodem Wisniewski across the line to start lap 4 of 10, 1.8 seconds clear of Jone Simoncic in 2nd place. There you can see Wisniewski in the bottom left, the Williams Esports driver, doing a very, very nice job at the moment. 2 seconds clear up at the front, but we'll wait and see how much life he's taking out of his tyres. Simoncic 2 seconds further back, and to be fair, Simoncic is only half a second or so in front of Siebel, who's 6/10 ahead of Petter Berliak. So we don't know whether Simoncic's race is going to be an easy one, with Siebel right behind on lap 4 of 10. This is the Sim Masters in the race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones. And here is Petter Berliak and Bono Huis, still battling over 4th and 5th. Huis in the silver Mercedes right up behind Berliak, unable to make a move just yet. These two have been racing each other for many, many years, not least of which at the Visa Vegas E-Race, which Bono Huis won a few years ago.
Yeah, Simoncic is the one that's holding them all back, really. Siebel, Berliak, Huis and Capit all very close and in shot right now. And it's Simoncic in second as the car at the lead of this battle that's just holding them all back and allowing Wisniewski to maintain his lead. Still 1.8 seconds, so Simoncic didn't lose any more on that lap. But it's a huge gap in just a few laps. And it's just meaning that everyone else behind gets really bunched up, and the likes of Bono Huis now are able to try and attack Petter Berliak and Siebel, and then Simoncic ahead as well.
Lap 5 of 10. On board in the top right with Liam de Waal, who's seeing a lot of action in front of him and is about to gain at least 1 place here, maybe 2, as he comes into the right-hander at turn 3, gets the cut back. It's going to be tough to pull this one off, but can't quite get the job done there, Liam. Racing for the VWC All-Stars. Back on board with Bono Huis in the main picture.
Yeah, look, it's just a line of cars behind Simoncic. That's Wisniewski into the turn 7 there. Then Simoncic with Siebel now right behind him. Then Petter Berliak and then Bono Huis. Bono Huis not really under pressure from behind. Kasdorp now, remember Kasdorp spun out of the top 10 earlier, so he's on a bit of a recovery charge now, trying to save something, with Kevin Siggy just behind. Siggy's been rapid at times, but he's now on the edge of the top 20, and Erhan Yajovski's not even in the top 20. That's how competitive this series is, particularly for these sim racers. These are championship winners and challengers struggling to make the top 20 right now.
Oh, it's so leery down into turn 1, isn't it? We're on lap 6 of 10. Simoncic in second place, Siebel in third, Berliak fourth, Huis in fifth, and Huis makes the mistake. Risto Capit sees the inside and he gets up and past Bono Huis. Does he? No, Huis is still there in the silver Mercedes, coming into the left-hander now of turn 4 and out onto the back straight. I thought that Capit would be able to make that move, but Huis just holds on in 5th position.
Yeah, it was the classic mistake. Just drop a wheel wide at turn 2 and it just drags you off onto the grass. You lose all drive. But look, Huis is kind of already onto the back of Berliak again. Simoncic is really blocking all these guys, but they can't seem to pass him or even really have a run at him. He's quick in the right places, but he's not quick overall, and he's just basically holding a queue. And now Risto Capit is catching Bono Huis, went side by side. Brendan Lee is now getting into the mix as well, catching them all. And Wisniewski still with that 1.8 second lead. So Simoncic has at least closed or stabilized the gap. Now it'll be interesting to see if he has just been saving those tyres and if he can close it in the last sort of 3 laps.
Yvonne Buren at the top right, trying to close in on Brendan Lee. We've got Mike Epps fighting with Jonas Raivio, who is just behind Danny Haddad, as they all squabble over the early 20s positions. And then onto the brakes down into turn 1, lap 7 of 10. Now Wisniewski's lead has come down a little bit. It's 1.3 seconds now, 1.3, 1.5 to Simoncic. And there goes Jonas Raivio up the inside of Daniele Haddad. Big sideways moment, and he makes the move stick. Does Haddad lose another place? Yes, he does. Tries to hang it on around the outside of 3. Can't quite do it. So nicely done from Jonas Raivio, and that gives Mike Epps a place as well. Danny Haddad down to 26th position.
Yeah, lovely bit of exuberance sliding his way through the inside, but a nice move. Look at the gap. Simoncic now 1.4 seconds, 1.5 away from Wisniewski. He is saving those tyres, and now we're going to see what he's got left, because that gap is coming down, and we've still got enough laps. He's not far away from DRS range now, if he can find another couple of tenths. And Wisniewski now, 1.2 seconds. He's going to start to feel a bit of heat, bit of pressure. And that normally can just compound matters when your tyres are starting to go away. You can just feel the heat from your rival behind, and a bit of a lock-up as well down at turn 1, that bumpy braking zone. It won't help. And look, Simoncic is still bringing that rabble behind him as well. Siebel, Berliak, Huis, Capit.
Oh,
not so much
big lock-up for Wisniewski down at turn 1. So a week ago, Simoncic played the long game and hauled his way into the race win. Is he doing the same here in Portugal? Lap 8 of 10, Wisniewski leading, but only 1.2 seconds now ahead of Simoncic in second place. Siebel, Berliak, Huis, Capit, as you say, coming with them. And we're on board with Michi Hoyer in the top right as he tries to get past Jordan and up into the top 10. But here's Peter Berliak just in front of Bono Huis in the silver car. Berliak in the red, white and black. The tyres really now getting to a critical stage, I would say. Lap 8 of 10. And Simoncic is still just outside of DRS range at the moment, isn't he? 1.2, 1.1. He could do with the DRS on this run down towards turn 1, but he's not going to get it, crucially.
No, that's going to be a real nuisance for him, because that would give him a free few tenths to close in on Wisniewski. Now look at the gap, 1 second. So he's only actually taken 2 tenths out of Wisniewski. And with 2 laps to go, that's not enough. Move coming here, though, for Huis.
To the outside, then he'll try and get the cut back on Berliak, who looks a little bit loose coming out of 1. Not quite close enough coming into 2, though. Huis still settling there in that 5th position. Penultimate lap of the race now for the Sim Masters. After this, we have the Legends Trophy. So Jenson Button and Dario Franchitti and Jan Magnussen and Emanuele Pirro and Vitantonio Liuzzi all going wheel to wheel on track. But at the moment, we've got these Sim Masters. There is the young Dutchman Bono Huis down in the bottom left as he gets onto the brakes into the left-hander of turn 6 for the penultimate time, and Simoncic is within DRS range of the race leader Nikodem Wisniewski. You can see it up in the top right, but does he have enough laps left? Because he's only going to get 1 run down the start-finish straight with DRS.
Yeah, another big lock-up, though, for Wisniewski there. And top right inset, you can look back and see Simoncic half a second. But I've got a feeling this could be a bit of a Canapino-Dillman race. It might be a little bit too late, too little. Here we go on board. Simoncic half a second away from Wisniewski, but let's see what the DRS can do for him. as he opens it down towards turn 1. Good overtaking chance if he can get there.
He's closing, he's closing, he's closing. Final lap of the race. Simoncic sends it into the right-hander, but Wisniewski just about gets late on the brakes and holds on to the lead of the race. But there's 0.3 of a second between them in the Sim Masters on the final lap around Portugal. Where is Simoncic's next opportunity going to be as he gets all loose at the rear? Great fight on the final lap.
Yeah, too loose though, I think, for Simoncic through turn 3. He's clearly fighting with his own tyres now, really loose on the exit of 4 as well, and that's just allowed Wisniewski a tiny bit of breathing space. They're all struggling with those rear tyres particularly. There's not a huge amount of overtaking opportunity left, but it's so close.
Looks like he's struggling to just keep the car on the road at the moment. Running in second place. There's the look back from Wisniewski, the race leader. Jourdain Simoncic chasing him down, and it's Simoncic we can see in the bottom left. Final couple of corners now, climbing up the hill. The lovely Portuguese countryside on the right-hand side, a half hour or so outside of Lisbon. But it's Nikodem Wisniewski who comes through the final corner, and he is just going to hold on to win the Sim Masters race at the Race All-Star Series. Wisniewski wins for Williams Esports. Second across the line for Jourdain Simoncic by just 0.3 of a second. And then it is Siebel who comes across the line in third place. What a great fight that was.
And this is as close as it got then. Oh, it just begs a lunge, doesn't it? Down at turn 1, the final lap. And he was there. Just didn't dare dive in too late on the brakes and risk a crash. Fair play. Still for his championship, Simoncic, that's a great result. We've got to remember that. But, well, good race, good race. Bit of cat and mouse, good strategy. But ultimately, Wisniewski maybe had the right one.
Yeah, very, very entertaining competition there between those sim racers. But Jourdain Simoncic, the Burst Esports driver, couldn't quite manage to get ahead of the Williams driver. This is the whole final lap I think we're seeing on board there. So Nikodem Wisniewski takes the win in the Sim Masters, just ahead of Jourdain Simoncic in second place, Alex Siebel in third, Peter Berliak fourth, Bono Huis, second place man in the championship, could only manage fifth. It looked certain that he was going to get ahead of Peter Berliak at some point throughout the race, but it didn't quite work out. Brendan Lee in seventh place, Rudy von Buren in 8th. Dennis Lind, the real-life racer, comes home in 9th position after a very strong race. And Dennis Jordan completing the top 10. But that's the running for the Sim Masters. They have a reverse grid later on. We've still got 4 races to come. And next up, it's the one that we're all very much looking forward to, the Legends Trophy. Can Jenson Button continue his dominant form? We'll find out in a couple of minutes' time.
Well, that was a pretty exciting race all the way through. Knowing that the tires were certainly an issue after talking to the pro guys, pretty well held as well by Wisniewski to get out early, but then manage it because Simoncic was pushing really hard at the end, Jack.
Yeah, it was really, really close, wasn't it? I have to say. And I think we can speak to Jourdain now, who was closing in those closing stages. It just looked as though that final corner was going to be the move. Jourdain, you did try to pull the same trick as last week and steal it right at the end. Didn't quite work out today.
Yeah, I missed like maybe 1 meter of car length more to forward to be able to outbrake Nikodem. But yeah, I missed maybe 1 lap to launch an attack. I guess the tire wear was a little lower this race than it was the last time when I managed to get Erhan with this way. But yeah, crazy race. I really wanted to hear from Nikodem what he was thinking about, but yeah, great race from him.
Okay, well, I'm sorry we interviewed you instead. The car looked very loose at the end. You were really fighting on that final lap, and you were the one that had saved your tires.
Yeah, that tells about how important the tire management is with this car, especially with all the bumps and all the tire lockups over all the bumps. So yeah, I saw again smoking tires from the car ahead. So I waited and tried to attack, but again, it was 1 lap too late.
Cool. Well, best of luck for the reverse grid race. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there we go. He wanted us to interview Nikodem. Fine.
Using us to spy on the competition. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
We've got a few new additions each and every week. Tom Cornell, I think, is actually going to be joining us for the Legends coming up in just a minute. But one of the other additions we've had is Tatiana Calderon, which is great to see her involved. She's actually taken the time to walk us through what her sim looks like, at home.
Hey guys, this is Tatiana. I'm back home in Madrid, and this is my setup for this weekend. I'm gonna be making my debut. So I have a Fanatec F1 wheelbase, the Fanatec B3 pedals, place it with single-seater position, and a TV. So looking forward to race one of the best guys out there for the first time, and hopefully have a lot of fun. So see you soon and keep watching.
Well, hopefully she did have a lot of fun in that first race. Obviously, now our attention has to shift a little bit forward. Legends coming up. Julian, I go to you because I think you're a legend. Jack likes to bully you, but I want your opinion because you deserve to be there.
To be fair, if Tonio Liuzzi's a legend, Palmer's a legend. I think that's fair.
You backtracking like that? We're off to a flyer today. Liuzzi's a legend, and he's in the Legends race. So, I'm still waiting by the phone, but it's not ringing yet. But I can't wait. This is going to be great.
Your phone might ring if you had a Rocket smartphone, Julian. And you guys at home can get one as well. All you've got to do is head over to rocketphones.com, enter in who the two Williams Rocket Formula One driver. You can enter in the esports drivers. It might not be the right answers, though, because they want the Formula One drivers for the 2020 season. You get a chance to win a phone. And maybe that's what you need to do, Jack, or excuse me, Joe, because then maybe you'll get to be a legend.
Yeah, I think that's the key. There's also really good offers on the Rocket phone at the moment. You get one for just £69 if you head to the website. So really, really impressive stuff. So maybe next week, Palmer will get the call for the Legends Trophy, which is coming up next.
This is the time to do it.
The race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones is going to head straight into the Legends Trophy. This is very much the highlight for a lot of you guys watching from home. And it is for us as well, because these guys are so cool and the racing is so chaotic in these Brabhams. We're not going to waste any time. They're already on track for qualifying.
Here is Helio Castroneves, who is out on circuit. And is his birthday today, or have I made that up?
Tomorrow,
yes,
I think.
It's tomorrow's his birthday. So happy birthday tomorrow to Helio Castroneves. And he's coming into the pits on his outlap. So I wonder if he's had an off somewhere.
Yeah, that's a bit short. Then here we go, Montoya, who's we've got Tom Coronel doing his first lap in set, but Juan Pablo Montoya has been a front runner. Maybe the biggest challenger to Jenson Button. Jan Magnussen, Emanuele Pirro might have something to say as well. But let's see Montoya then, the first lap of these legends in the Brabham BT44B. These are going to look hectic around here, I think. They oversteer at the best of times. It's bumpy, there's long corners, there's undulation, camber as well in the corners. This is going to be really, really difficult.
Juan Pablo Montoya, championship leader at the moment with 84 points, 8 points clear of Emanuele Pirro. Jenson Button in third spot. So that's the way that the championship lines up. So we'll keep an eye out on all those lap times as Montoya comes through turn 4. And out onto the back straight for Juan Pablo. Down into the left-hander of turn 6. We'll see what kind of lap time he can do, because, as you say, Button hasn't really had the pace. Didn't have the results in Malaysia, but he certainly had the pace. So I think it's a safe bet to think Button will be up the front of the order again.
You'd expect so. Yeah, Magnussen's on a good lap here. And he's another one that got a great win at Lime Rock, fighting with Jenson Button. Button was on pole last time out, but had a little tangle and then never really found his stride in the races. I mean, he still had good races, but after that tangle, couldn't make it through to the front again. But yeah, let's see what Jan Magnussen can do across the line here.
So Magnussen comes across the line, and his lap time is a 1 minute 28.360, 3 tenths quicker than Pirro. Monteiro drops into 5th position. Juan Pablo Montoya only 7th after his first lap. He'll get another run. Here comes Liuzzi up into third place. Franchitti now up into third. Here's Petter Solberg through the final corner. Lots of lock for him. Button cuts the timing beam. And it's provisional pole position, a 1 minute 28.199, a tenth of a second ahead of Kevin Magnussen. Where does Solberg slot in? 5th position. He's getting quicker and quicker, Petter Solberg. We might have time for one more lap from these front runners.
We should just about get it in. Let's see what Magnussen can do then in response to Jenson Button. He's pretty much matched his first sector, but looking like he was going a little bit wide there down at turn 6. He's just got to find a 1/10.5 just over, and he can match Jenson and make sure Button has to improve as well. Will their tyres last 2 laps? Well, Magnussen doesn't look like he's improving through the second sector either. And the 2 of them are quite a long way clear of Pirro, Franchitti and Solberg.
Is left on the clock, so these drivers, once they get across the line, Magnussen's a couple of tenths away after the first 2 sectors. And he's coming through the final corner and out across the line. I don't think he's going to improve here from his 1 minute 28.3. Cuts the timing beam, Jan Magnussen. And no, he's half a second slower than he managed previously, and no one really... Pirro might have improved a little, actually. He gets up into 3rd place, but it's Jenson Button who's on pole position for the Legends race once again. 3rd in the championship, but he needs to try and get some good points on the board for this one. Petter Solberg across the line, 5th at the moment. He looks like he's a little bit adrift, and he comes across the line. Does his personal best does the best final sector of anyone, and it's 5th place on the grid for Petter Solberg. But Button, Magnussen, Pirro, Jolien are in a little bit of a class of their own.
Yeah, and they've been standout really the whole time, haven't they? I think Montoya was underperforming there. Good to see Solberg actually just nick himself ahead of Franchitti into 4th place. But yeah, the top 3, very, very impressive there.
Jenson Button starts on pole position for the Legends Trophy ahead of Jan Magnussen in 2nd place. Emanuele Pirro in 3rd spot. 4th is Petter Solberg. 5th is Dario Franchitti with Bryan Herta in 6th. Juan Pablo Montoya in 7th on the grid, the championship leader. He's going to have a busy afternoon if he wants to get a load of points. Antonio Liuzzi starts in 8th place with Andy Priaulx in 9th. Adrian Fernandez completes the top 10 with Jourdain and Monteiro completing the top 12. And this great grid of legends continues with Oriol Servia in 13th place, like everyone on social media, being followed by Tom Coronel in 14th. Darren Turner is 15th with Mika Salo in 16th position. David Brabham 17th, Helio Castroneves 18th, Max Papis in 19th, Mario Dominguez completing the top 20. Here we go then, Button on pole, Jan Magnussen alongside him on the front row of the grid. 3rd is Emanuele Pirro, championship leader Montoya is in 7th in the blue car. Wait for the lights to go green, and away they go. Really good start from Button. What a great reaction that was, and he blasts away in the lead. 2nd is Magnussen. Someone's in the wall already as they come down into the right-hander of turn 1. Magnussen holds on to 2nd place. Pirro on the inside at turn 2 in 3rd. Solberg and Franchitti are swapping places. Franchitti's lost out to Liuzzi. Montoya has lost a place and is down to 8th, and Pirro's on the grass there. Might have got a bit of a nudge maybe from Petter Solberg, and Liuzzi and Pirro, the 2 Italians, now going side by side with Italian heritage to Dario Franchitti right behind them in 6th place.
Good start from Jenson Button though. That's the main thing. He's taken pole again, but he's kept out of trouble this time. And he's got over a second on Jan Magnussen already. Franchitti's got a nice view of this fight between Pirro and Liuzzi. Dive up the inside from Pirro. That's looking good. Really neat stuff there from Emanuele Pirro. Up into 4th place again. But he was the real loser early on because he started in the top 3 and he's dropped away. I think maybe a tiny bit of contact with Petter Solberg and that dropped him back. But he's on the charge.
Championship leader Juan Pablo Montoya is down to 16th place. So that's a real disaster for Juan Pablo Montoya. We're watching Franchitti in 6th place, trying to get past Antonio Liuzzi. These legends racing in 1970s Brabham BT44Bs. As they come around the final corner, you can see how much lean they're taking. Franchitti almost losing it on the back straight. A bit of a smirk and a shake of the head because he's now under pressure from Adrian Fernandez, winner of the reverse grid last time. I wonder if Montoya's got damage because in the top right, the car looks all over the place as they come down into turn 1. Button's lead is 1.6 seconds ahead of Jan Magnussen in second place.
Yeah, Montoya's dropping back and back. This is going to hurt a lot in his championship challenge. So, yeah, don't know what happened to him, but I was very... Oh, spin there. Jourdain's going round on his own, I think, down at turn 2. These Brabhams do love to oversteer, and Jourdain just catching that one a little bit late and lost that. And there's another moment. That's Franchitti going wide, and Fernandez now, no, he can't go around the outside of him. So Franchitti having a huge loopy half spin, but Fernandez not able to take advantage. I was distracted at the start by someone just drove into the pit wall all on their own. I can only imagine they had a bit of lag or something or didn't see what was happening. But yeah, someone just on the inside on the start just went straight in the pit wall.
Oh, Solberg. Solberg's gone round, and I think he's tangled. Who is he tangled with there? He's dropped well down the order. Not quite sure who it was with, but Solberg, who was running up in the top 5, facing backwards. Darren Turner and Andy Priaulx fighting over 7th position now. Here's a look at the replay. Solberg coming down into the left-hander, sent it in, lost the back end, just got the wheels on the grass, and maybe he didn't tangle with anyone. Maybe it was just cars making their way through. Or maybe he drove straight into David Brabham.
Yeah, maybe the latter. And again.
And then again.
Oh, no. That's Brabham in his Brabham will be seething there. But, yeah, just came around the corner. Saw Petter Solberg. So, Solberg out of 3rd place. That's a real shame for him. Here's Andy Priaulx on the back of Darren Turner. Nice all British fight for 7th place. Both having quite solid drives here.
Huge chunk of curb taken by Priaulx in 8th place as he tries to close in on Turner. Solberg was running a little bit wide coming out of that corner. Here's Juan Pablo Montoya making his way back up the order in 13th place, coming around the final corner and trying to get a run on the driver in front of him, which is Oriol Servia, down towards turn 1. Montoya in the tow, and he will move to the inside, and that'll be a fairly straightforward move on the Spaniard into the first corner. Jenson Button still leading, 1.5 seconds ahead of Jan Magnussen, with Emanuele Pirro in 3rd, Vitantonio Liuzzi 4th, Franchitti, Fernandez, Turner, Priaulx, Castroneves, Solberg, the rest of the top 10 at the moment. So as it stands, I think this would put Jenson Button up into the lead of the championship by the looks of things. He's far enough ahead of Pirro, so Button would move to the top of the championship standings on lap 3 of 10 though. Still a long way to go in this Legends Trophy race as Priaulx takes a lot of speed into that left-hander.
Yeah, and then the old Scandinavian flick into the final corner as well from Priaulx, still trying to pass Darren Turner. Just 6/10 between them. They're having a great fight. And who have we got in front? Adrian Fernandez is a fair way ahead. But it's maybe Bryan Herta that's a lap down in 19th place. Must have been in the walls a lot. But Tom Coronel's doing a good job. 13th ahead of a recovering, 15th ahead of a recovering David Brabham.
That's one less follower now for Tom Coronel because David Brabham's got in front of him as they get onto the brakes into the first corner. Coronel tries to hang it around the outside, but Brabham is through on his recovery drive after a few nudges with Petter Solberg earlier on. You can see Solberg in the top right trying to get past Tiago Monteiro and recover into the top 10, the World Rally Champion. And we're on lap 4 of 10 in this Legends Trophy race around Portugal with the Race All-Star Series. Matt Sadekist Trevitt and Jolyon Palmer and me, Jack Nichols, with you for this. Oh, someone's in the wall there, big time. And who was it? I think it's Turner and Priaulx. I think they've been fighting for a long time, and now they've both come to grief on the inside of the Armco at turn 6, and they're both now out of the top 10.
Yeah, real shame because they were both having good drives there in 6th and 7th. Priaulx was attacking Turner, and they rejoined just ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya, their championship leader. They're now 11th, 12th, and Montoya in 13th. So he really needs to pick up as many points as he can here, with Jenson Button leading from really the other big guns of Magnussen and Pirro. Montoya, for whatever reason, dropped right back at the start, and now he needs to recover from the two Brits who had a tangle, it seems, on the last lap down at turn 6.
Montoya up the inside, then down the start-finish straight, going to get ahead of Darren Turner here. And then next up will be Andy Priaulx, although Well, Turner's helped here by the fact he gets the slipstream. Oh, little nudge, and that'll be enough to allow Montoya through down into 2. Surely this time, yeah, Montoya up into 12th position, Turner down to 13th, and we're on lap 5 of 10.
That's a beautiful
Here's a look at the replay then. This might be what happened.
Oh no, they just touch wheels on the entry, and it looked like they should have been okay, but they must have just overlapped wheels and lost it on the entry, basically in a straight line. So real shame there between Turner and Priaulx, and that's what dropped them out of their top 10 battle.
On board with Oriol Servia now, who's following Petter Solberg. IndyCar racer Oriol Servia, just been doing the Indy 500s recently, and Formula E a little bit before that with the Dragon team. And he is right up behind Petter Solberg, who is behind Monteiro, who is behind Castroneves. So they're all queuing up behind the yellow car of Helio Castroneves on lap 6 of 10. Beautiful scenery. It's part of Portugal, isn't it? Lovely stuff. And there we can see Petter Solberg in the bottom left. Castroneves not getting a great run out of the final corner, and this will be a good view back as Fernandez and Franchitti are swapping places in 5th position. But here comes Castroneves, covers the inside, then back to the outside, so that allows Monteiro up the inside into turn 1, and Solberg tries to follow through. He's going to get both of them here. Petter Solberg, 2 places for the price of 1.
Great move. I mean, they were so busy watching each other, Monteiro and Castroneves, going both of them really deep on the brakes. Solberg kept it neat, unlike Oriol Servia, who's just gone straight in the side of Helio Castroneves. And somehow they kind of got away with that without losing a lot of time. But that was a big old hit on the right rear.
Absolutely sent that one, wasn't it? That was a lunge and a half. We're on board with Castroneves in 9th place, fighting with Monteiro. Monteiro in 8th after all of that shenanigans. Does Castroneves fancy it? No. Looks to the inside, not close enough. As their fight continues, we saw a little look at Oriol Servia early on with a nice bit of facial hair. Quite like it. Dario Franchitti in the top right, chasing down Adrian Fernandez. Those two were swapping places on the last lap in the fight over 5th place. But Button is disappearing, 4 seconds clear now of Jan Magnussen. Magnussen's only half a second or so in front of Emanuele Pirro. So we'll keep an eye on that battle as well as we go back on board with Servia.
Yeah, that could get interesting. Castroneves really sideways there and just catching it, but losing the place to Andy Priaulx, sweeps through into the final corner. Yeah, here's our race leader. 4 seconds clear of Jan Magnussen, but Magnussen and Pirro is really the only close battle in the top 5. Adrian Fernandez is having a good drive. He's cleared Dario Franchitti then, who you're watching in the top right inset. Oh, you were watching. But yeah, Button doing everything right. Magnussen is going to come under pressure soon, I think.
Lap 7 of 10. Button, here he is, bossing this race. 4 seconds clear of Jan Magnussen in 2nd position. A really strong race this from the 2009 world champion. Bit of opposite lock though. He's loving this.
Is he just sort of drifting around on purpose?
Yeah.
Not even cracking a smile there on the inset, but just practicing a bit of car control. Someone needs to practice a bit of car control there because they've just
Montoya.
got off stage right. Don't know who that was, but they didn't.
It was Juan Pablo Montoya going into the back of Andy Priaulx. So Montoya drops out of the top 10 again.
Not going his way at all this race, and he's going to lose so much ground in the championship after winning last time out. Solberg has passed Franchitti as well. So Petter Solberg, who had that spin early on, is on a recovery drive. Here we go. Battle for second.
Trying to get to the outside of Jan Magnussen, but he can't get it done. So they're still on lap 8 of 10, wheel to wheel for 2nd place. Jan Magnussen in the red and white car. In the yellow and blue is Emanuele Pirro in 3rd position. There you can see Jan in the bottom left, racing in his kitchen. And he's got big pressure now from Pirro, just like he had with Jenson Button at Lime Rock Park a few weeks ago. As Max Papis is now up into 16th place. But this is the battle for 2nd. Pirro and Magnussen, who, well, Magnussen could do with a good result here because he only got a 10th place finish in race 2, which means he's down in 6th place in the championship at the moment.
Needs the points, but Pirro as well has really flown at the start of this championship. and he could do without second place as well. What they don't want is to come to blows and end up in the wall and losing points to Liuzzi and the like behind. This is going to be a good chance then for Pirro. Out of the final corner to start the penultimate lap, and he's so close that Magnus is going to have to defend down to turn 1, surely this time.
Down the long start-finish straight in Portugal. Penultimate lap of the race, started by Jenson Button, but the battle for second is on. Oh, Pirro gets the inside. Magnussen comes over, maybe a little bit too late. Pirro desperate to find the inside, sells the dummy, sails it in, and Magnussen loses the back end. Trying to get the cut back, too eager on the power, and Pirro's into second.
Yeah, that was just a mistake really from Magnussen. Pirro, nice lunge on the inside, stopped it well enough. But if Magnussen had managed to get the power down without a big oversteer, he might have been able to slide back underneath Pirro, who went in hot, but he just lost the car and lost the place as well. Pirro up into second, and he's probably deserved that really, because he lost a few places at the start. He's had really good pace, and now he's back into second, but he's still not been a match for Jenson Button. Nice move.
On board with Magnussen. There goes Pirro in there, just as he's trying to get the cut back. Too much, and the back end gets away from him, and he looks like he's going to have to settle for third place now, because race leader Jenson Button is almost on the final lap of the race. Here's Dario Franchitti, who's slid down to 8th position in the order. Then he's now behind Tiago Monteiro, with Helio Castroneves closing in, and Oriol Servia as well. Juan Pablo Montoya still down in 11th position as Franchitti's
lost a lot of pace suddenly. He was ticking along really well earlier on. He's lost sort of 14 seconds. Even to Adrian Fernandez, who he was fighting with just a few laps ago. So maybe losing the tyres, getting scrappy, a gremlin in the car, but he's now going to have his mirrors full soon of Helio Castroneves as well.
So, final lap of the race for Jenson Button up in the top right. We go on board with him now. What a commanding drive this has been. He was very quick in Malaysia, couldn't get it together, and didn't manage to take a win in either of the races, but much more straightforward here. Button out across the line, and he takes the win in Portugal in the Legends Trophy. Really strong drive, over 5 seconds ahead of Emanuele Pirro in second place. Sliding the car beautifully round. Wonderful drive from Button. Pirro second, Magnussen third, Liuzzi fourth, fifth for Fernandez, sixth for Solberg, Monteiro in seventh, and Franchitti is going to come across the line in 8th position by the looks of things. Franchitti 7th, Monteiro 8th. Castroneves and Servia complete the top 10.
Is the race definitely finished?
Well, I'm just thinking that now. It was definitely on lap 10 of 10, wasn't it, when Button came across the line?
It was, but Button didn't celebrate. He didn't slow down. He continued flat out down to turn 1 as everyone else is doing. So this is one for the blooper reel. Button's still going, and now
there we go, checker flag.
So I think it was.
Okay, because that's embarrassing if I can't count to 10.
You got there. You got there.
Yes. So there we go. He's happy now. Big smile on the face of Jenson Button as he takes the win in the Legends Trophy. Pirro second, Magnussen third. There we go.
Really.
This is the celebrations we wanted, isn't it? So Button takes the win after 10 laps. Pirro second, Magnussen third after a great fight. Vitantonio Liuzzi in 4th position, having had a good drive actually, carving his way up the order after a not great qualifying. Fernandez 5th, Solberg 6th after a bit of a collision. Dario Franchitti 7th, 8th for Tiago Monteiro, 9th for Helio Castroneves, and 10th for Oriol Servia. So now let's speak to our race winner, Jenson Button, in the Legends Trophy. Jenson, congratulations. That was a bit more straightforward than Malaysia last week.
Yeah, it was. But it's funny, you know, I was just hammering it every lap because I thought, you know, if I take it easy, there's just as much chance that I'm going to spin off as if I push hard. So I was like, I'll get the gap, and then if I spin off, I'm pretty safe anyway. So it's definitely a different way of thinking. But no, it was a lot of fun.
It looked like you were sliding the car a lot.
Yeah, this track is really tricky. This was the one that worried me the most. I was testing and I wasn't really on the pace. And it's definitely more of a sort of rally style in terms of where you put the car, or rallycross style, where you double apex a lot of the corners, and you really have to drift the car and use the throttle to turn the car. So not really my style, but I got there in the end.
Okay, well, congratulations. Good luck for the reverse grid.
Cheers, man.
So there we go. Great performance from Jenson Button. My Jenson Button model arrived this week. There it is, Brawn 2009. Thank you to my friend Stuart for sending me that for my birthday. There we go. When we come back, we are into the reverse grid races. We'll be starting with the Pro Cup, where Alex Buncombe has lost the lead of the championship to Esteban Gutierrez, but that could all change in the reverse grid race. The Sim Masters race will follow, and then we will have the reverse grid Legends race, and we'll see what Jenson Button can do carving through from the back of the order in a couple of minutes' time.
Well, happy belated birthday to you, Jack. You're 19th finally. That's fantastic. That you're getting into adulthood. You're certainly adulting with the new haircut this week as well. I just want to point out really quickly as we look back, Button said something interesting about always kind of pushing and the same chances to spin. I actually find for me in sim, it's such a rhythm thing that if I back off and then someone starts to catch me, I can't find my pace again. So there's a bit more of a mental aspect to the sim world, and someone who knows a lot about the real racing world and certainly has driven a ton of machinery. Very cool to have him joining us today is Tiff Needell, and obviously took in that race, the Legends Trophy. Tiff, you've been watching the last couple of weeks from what I hear. What do you make of that race?
Yeah, I've been keeping in touch. But we're back to another Button masterclass there. And I love the way on his interview he talked about how he had to adapt his style. You know, he found a bit of an oversteery circuit, and he was super smooth Jenson in the Formula One car, but he's had to adapt to a bit more Petter Solberg-y. So a real master. We needed Magnussen to get ahead, like at Lime Rock, because that was such a brilliant race. But there were some fantastic races behind. Pirro coming through. And I think the great thing about the front guys is, I mean, Jan could have maybe shut the door on Pirro and clashed wheels and tyres, but obviously thought, well, okay, I'll let him have the inside line and I'll cut back. And the cutback didn't quite work. So I think the great thing is the guys that take it seriously, they treat it like a real race and produce some fantastic drives.
Yeah,
when are you going to
very
go
cool.
Tiff?
Sorry?
Are you going to give it a go, Tiff? Legends race? Have a jump in?
Jolly, I've been working at it 20 hours a day if I took it on, because I'd be obsessed with the things and I'd be going at it. I'd have no sleep at all. I'd be bleary-eyed. And by the way, Jolly, I heard mention if you wanted to be a legend, but you're under 30, lad. It just doesn't count, Joe. You're too young to be a legend, okay? Forget it.
Damn it. You're quashing my hopes here, Tiff. What a shame. What a shame. I've got to wait a little bit longer then, maybe. But
yeah, your dad would qualify, but I'm sorry, Charlie, you're just too young.
That's a good shout, actually. Maybe I should get involved and
Jonathan
for the
Palmer, F1
instead.
legend. We heard it here first. Tiff, who have you most enjoyed watching of these Legends drivers? Because, you kind of know some of them, you've raced against some of them, but are there any that really stand out that are just sort of fun to watch?
I think it has to be Petter, because Petter always wears his heart on his sleeve, and you can see him there, working away at the wheel. And it was a shame he overdid himself, because maybe as a oversteer circuit, it was a track that suited him. But Petter's very entertaining. I thought Liuzzi was impressive today, and Dario a bit disappointing. I thought initially Liuzzi was holding Dario up, but Dario sort of faded and went backwards. I don't know why.
What about the cars? Yeah. These not dissimilar to what you were driving in your era, aren't they? Were you oversteering like this all the time on track?
On the list for potentially joining these very cars after Carlos Pache sadly had his aircraft accident, which was this very era. At the beginning of '87, I just won the Groveland Award, the most promising young Brit. Bernie did suggest me for having a go in that very car in 1987. 77. God, I've lost 10 years. I keep on losing 10 years. But I was on the list. I didn't get the drive. I think I wasn't quite experienced enough. So they're very much the cars that I loved and followed and wanted to race.
Yeah, well, great. Thank you so much for joining us, Tiff, and really cool that you're tuning in and watching. We'll see you later.
My pleasure.
Very, very cool to have Tiff join in and give us his side. Very cool that he as well was, had a chance to drive in that exact car. Maybe that's more encouragement to get him in the Legends race. Julian, I tried. I've been outvoted. Apparently, you're not a legend, and I have to let you dwell on that because we'll be right back after this. Well, welcome back again to the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. We are about to get into the repeats, the reverse grids. As we start over from the top, you'll see more legends coming up, but we've got the Pro Cup to get back underway. And you mentioned it, there's been a change in the lead. It's the two guys that started the season, Jack, battling it out in Malaysia. In Portugal, Alex Buncombe couldn't quite keep the lead in the championship. Esteban Gutierrez has it, but it's all to play for.
Yeah, really looking forward to this. Gutierrez back in the lead. But there's something that people have been asking for weeks now, and I need to ask it. They've been asking on Twitter, Jolyon, what's with all the maps behind you? Why a whole bookcase of Ordnance Survey maps? That's the big question.
I love rambling. And
I've commentated with you for 2 years, I've noticed.
Exactly. It just fits me perfectly. They're for surveying the ordnance of the country, particularly. They're old.
Okay.
And they weren't
Well,
mine
anyway,
either.
looking forward to this. There's your answer, ye olde Autosport on Twitter. Looking forward to this. Reverse grid, which always makes it very busy. Do you think coming back through the order here, Jolyon, is going to be straightforward?
No. There's a lot of drivers in the field, firstly. So you got to avoid the chaos, as always. Then the tyre management and the overtaking chances actually are there. I think we could see great racing like we did in Malaysia last time, but the depth in the field is so high that you get the guy that qualified at the back starting at the front. He's probably still pretty quick. So it's not going to be easy for the guys who were at the front last time to come through.
Two names that I'll just throw out there that I think could have a good performance, maybe because of that, and it's people that I mentioned in the first race. It's going to be Ang and Spangler, because both those guys didn't really get off to a good foot in race one, but now they've got a chance to maybe hold that lead if they can find the pace. It'll be interesting to see if they do, because BMW and those two in particular have been very strong in previous weeks.
Yeah, I think they're drivers that need to up their game a little bit, because we've seen Philip Eng strong at times, as you say. He won a F1 esports race. He was a front runner here in the race stuff, as you say, maybe a month or so ago, but hasn't quite managed to put it all together. So we'll see what he can do today. A lot of it, of course, will depend on the grid. We know that the front runners from the last race will be starting at the back, but it's a chance for those who didn't qualify well to be more towards the front of the order. So really looking forward to this one. And as you said, Jolyon, with the tyres, we saw in the sim race how important the tyres were. And to a degree, the further back in the grid you are, the less strong you are on tyre management as well, because it's really the front runners that kind of get on top of all of that. So I'm really fascinated to see how that transpires. But hopefully it's nice and clean, really. And we'll see. It's a lot of this championship is going to be decided how far the front runners can climb. Alex Buncombe, I think, climbed back up to 8th position or something in the last race from the back of the grid. So those are going to be the times that'll give you your big points finishes. Here we go then, the race about to get underway, the reverse grid race in the Pro Cup. When the green flag drops, away we go down towards the first corner. It's a very mixed start up at the front. The pole man, Lascaratos, has got away well. James Headley in second place. Christodoulou, Van Uytert all piling into the first corner. A couple of cars running wide. Christodoulou now is up into second place. Van Uytert is third. Bradley is up into fourth. Seb Montoya is up into sixth. For a moment, I think Tatiana Calderon was up there, but she's now dropped away. So Lascaratos it is who's out in front. Christodoulou second, Van Uytert third, Bradley fourth. Seb Montoya now up into fourth place, but a very, very busy first couple of corners.
Yep, Lascaratos doing everything right. I think Calderon might have been the car just running wide on the exit of turn one and dropping back from there. And look, Jock Van Uytert then right on the back of Christodoulou, and he, to me, is one that's kind of in a good position here. He's normally in the front third, and now he's starting this reverse grid race already in third and right on the back of Christodoulou. So Lascaratos is away in the distance, 1.3 seconds, but Van Uytert needs to get past Christodoulou ASAP to try and hunt him down.
On board here with Jock Van Uytert running in third position. There you can see him in the bottom left as he comes into the right-hander and out onto the start, finish straight again. Just 0.4 of a second behind Adam Christodoulou. who has made good progress. Bunkum's up to 16th already, and Gutierrez 18th. Those two are so good at climbing up the order, aren't they?
Great job, and as you say, this critical to their championship. This is what happened to Tatiana Calderon then, off the line, starting in 5th place. Got quite a good start. Remember, it's just a first weekend in the race All-Star Series, and then, yeah, it all gets muscled pretty aggressively wide. I think it was Seb Morris, the Bentley driver, just forcing her wide, and then just got shuffled out even more, and then I think that's, is that the same driver then? Just cartwheeling through, and all sorts going on at turn 3.
So Andreas Laskaratos out in front, the 33-year-old Greek, who is a winner of the Asian Le Mans Series and the first Greek driver in the ELMS, and he is 1.5 seconds in front of Adam Christodoulou out in front. Job van Uytert in 3rd, Seb Montoya in 4th, Bradley's in 5th. We're on board with Andreas Laskaratos in the top right as he comes out of the final corner and across the line, and we'll see his gap is up to 1.6 seconds. Job van Uytert just 2/10 back though from Christodoulou. This is the move for 2nd place, down in towards the first corner. Job van Uytert's got the inside line. We're on board with him now, and that is 2nd position. Can he now try and close in on Laskaratos? Van Uytert is a driver who has shown some pace earlier on this season, but a 14th and a 20th last time out in Malaysia weren't quite what I was expecting from him. Here's Devlin De Francesco in 5th position, just in front of Richard Bradley, who we're on board with now in 6th place.
De Francesco is another one who's shown pace from time to time. So many lockups going on, and that's the same for Seb Montoya and Adam Christodoulou ahead. But yeah, De Francesco's in with a good chance here, up in 5th place already. Van Uytert, I completely agree. I think last week seemed to be a little bit off the boil. He obviously didn't qualify at all well here, which is why he's at the front now. But he's up into 2nd, and Laskaratos has made a mistake because Van Uytert's right with him now.
Job van Uytert challenging for the lead, just 0.2 of a second between them on the 3rd lap of 10. Already on lap 3. This has gone quite quickly, hasn't it? You're watching Nicky Thiem up in the top right. Richard Bradley on screen here. But here is the battle for the race lead. Laskaratos, Job van Uytert's got a great run through the final corner. Surely this will give the young Dutchman the lead. Down the start-finish straight towards turn 1. How aggressive will Laskaratos be in defence? Holds the middle of the road and then kind of opens the door a little bit for Job van Uytert. Onto the brakes, into turn 1. And that is the lead of the race.
Yeah, not the strongest of defences there from Laskaratos, but the way that Van Uytert charged to the back of him, I think that was probably going to happen in a matter of time anyway. Christodoulou has dropped down to 5th place, so Montoya and De Francesco up into 3rd and 4th, and they're next on the list to try and pass Laskaratos.
Nicky Thiem going around the outside, well, almost losing the back end, but manages to get up into 10th place. Nice move there from the Dane. But up in front, it is Laskaratos is behind Seb Montoya as well. So after bursting out of the blocks, he's now falling back a little bit. Seb Priaulx overtakes Bradley to get up into 6th position behind the man we're on board with here, Adam Christodoulou, coming into the right-hander of turn 7. Then another right-hander at turn 8. Priaulx looking lively behind as they come up to the crest of the hill. The car looking lively as well, actually, Seb Priaulx.
Really twitching. Oh, someone's off ahead. Is that Laskaratos now?
Yep.
I think he's dropped it completely. He's going to tumble down the order more. So that's Christodoulou back to 4th. But he's going to have to work to defend here. Seb Priaulx in 5th. Christodoulou grimacing in set. I think he knows what's going to happen here. Priaulx to the inside. And this should be a relatively straightforward move. And they're not too far away from Devlin De Francesco still.
Job van Uytert leading the way. He's got a 3-second lead over Seb Montoya in 2nd place, who's 2 seconds clear of Devlin De Francesco in 3rd. Seb Priaulx 4th, Adam Christodoulou 5th, Bradley, Jack Aitken, Laskaratos, Thiem and Plowman, the rest of the top 10. Gutierrez has dropped down to 22nd. He was up into the mid-teens earlier, wasn't he? But now he has slipped away. So that's not good news for his championship challenge. And there's a mistake for Devlin De Francesco, down to 7th place all of a sudden.
So that promotes Priaulx then up into 3rd place, and he's had a good drive so far, made a good number of places, and now has a bit of a gap to try and make to Seb Montoya, and then Job van Uytert, who's looking very good out front with a 3-second gap and a lot of pace as well. Jack Aitken up to 6th. He's on a charge, and he's going to be right up behind Devlin Di Francesco now as well.
Buncombe is up into 13th place, whereas Gutierrez has dropped into the mid-20s. So that's going to do him the world of good in terms of trying to get back in front of the championship. We're on board with Kevin Hansen in 12th place, right behind Martin Plowman as they come out onto the back straight, the start-finish straight now. Can Hansen make a move? Very, very close. They're all queued up for what is basically behind Las Garatos in 9th place. There's the send up the inside from Anthony Davidson. So Davidson goes at the inside into 9th, and Las Garatos is just going further and further back. Plowman is through. Kevin Hansen gets past as well. And yeah, Alex Buncombe is going to be the next man to attack, and Buncombe goes through too. So Las Garatos, and now Tom Dillman trying to go through as well, as Dillman tries to climb up the order from the back of the grid. So Las Garatos, having had a 2-second lead up at the front, is going backwards.
Buncombe and Dillman both having great drives. Dillman from right at the back is now up to 13th. I mean, what a great drive. And we've still got nearly half the race to go. So he's got a good chance of getting in the top 10, you'd have thought. Las Garatos is going quickly the other way. So started at the front because he qualified last, and now he's falling away despite doing a really good opening lap.
On board with Jack Aitken in the replay of him going to the outside down into turn 6. Nice move. Very clean stuff from Aitken. He's a driver that I keep expecting to see more of. He's racing in the Formula 2 esports championship now, but finally getting his stuff together in the race here.
Nice move. And he was having a good race one, actually, Jack Aitken, and then he spun, didn't he, out of the top 10. But that was definitely a good move there. And Di Francesco, I think, has passed Christodoulou as well just now to get 5th place. So Christodoulou, the next man who's starting to slip back. And the front, Van Uyter, now 4 seconds clear. It's looking very, very good.
Yeah, a 15-year-old Seb Montoya in 2nd place, who's having a very strong race. Seb Priaulx in 3rd, Jack Aitken 4th, Di Francesco 5th. Here's a look at Devlin Di Francesco. Sending one up the inside, late on the brakes into turn 1, but got it done, nicely done.
Nice move. He knew the braking distance there for turn 1. Looked like he was going in hot again, but he was just that much deeper on the brakes than Christodoulou, and got it stopped. So a little bit of a lock-up, but it's bumpy down there and it's easy to do.
7 of 10. Richard Bradley in 8th place is now under pressure from Anthony Davidson. The Mercedes driver right up behind Bradley. Side by side in front, I think, as Christodoulou and team battle. But what can Ant Davidson do? On board here is going to be a 4-car fight down into the first corner. Davidson can't quite get the inside. When he pulls out the slipstream, he loses the momentum on Bradley. It's side by side further in front. And I think team is still in front of Christodoulou in 6th and 7th places. Jack Aitken 4th, Devlin Di Francesco 5th. And then it's this team Christodoulou, Bradley, Davidson battle. And oh, I thought Bradley had that there, but just lost the rear end.
Buncombe and Dillman are in this battle as well. They're just in behind. They're all bunching up behind Christodoulou now for 7th place. Look at this train, which includes now Buncombe in 11th and Dillman in 12th, and not someone who was in about 9th place. I don't know who's just dropped it, but someone has gone.
Okay, so Buncombe up into 10th position. We're on board with Adam Christodoulou looking back at Ant Davidson, trying to get past. And thought Davidson was sending it there, but just makes the apex. They're all a bit concertinaed up here, aren't they, behind Christodoulou as they come through the tight sequence of corners towards the end of the lap. And this is going to be a bit busy down into turn 1 this time around, I think, because Buncombe is lining up a move on Bradley. He's got a really good run through the final corner. He himself is only just in front of Dillman, Hansen, Eastwood, Ingram and Canapino, the rest of the top 15. This is now the penultimate lap of the race already. Christodoulou covers the inside line, and Davidson, oh no, the pit wall's there, goodness me. He manages to find the inside, but that was a heart in the mouth moment for Anthony Davidson, and he's up into 7th place. Great drive.
Bradley had a big moment, and Buncombe's gone, I think.
Yeah, I was just about to... Oh, and Bradley's gone. He's hit Kevin Hansen. Hansen up into 10th place. How much ground did Buncombe lose? Is that Buncombe there rejoining the fight? It is. So Buncombe's down to 13th place. Bradley's in 12th. penultimate lap.
It was really close between the two of them. I don't quite know what happened. It happened right in the background of shot, but that's going to cost Buncombe then in the championship fight. Dillman up into 9th from the very back of the field, so he's taking advantage of all of this, and he's got Christodoulou just ahead, who's not nearly as quick.
Canapino in 14th place. Richard Bradley, we're on board with Canapino, the Williams Esports driver, up behind Richard Bradley. Still Job van Uytert comfortably out in the lead. Montoya is only 4/10 ahead of Priaulx in the battle over second place, and they've been joined actually by Jack Aitken, and I think that's Buncombe. I think Buncombe's just had a big accident and hit the wall coming into the final sequence of corners, and that might drop him well out of the running. Out across the line to start the final lap of the race, and there's only a 10th between Montoya and Priaulx. Aitken's ahead of Priaulx now, so Jack Aitken's up into 3rd. We're watching Canapino make the move on Richard Bradley down into turn 1, almost in the wall himself. Now we're back to Seb Montoya in 2nd place. Bradley and Canapino still fighting. Jack Aitken's got ahead of Nicky Thiem. So what happened to Seb Priaulx? He's now lost out to Nicky Thiem, and we're on board with Priaulx running in 5th in this 4-car fight for 2nd place. What can Jack Aitken do on Seb Montoya on the final lap?
Montoya weaving around a bit in the on the straight, not trying to avoid the slipstream for Aitken. Aitken tries to go round, and that's not going to work there. And Aitken's come unstuck. Montoya stays in 2nd, and now Nicky Thiem's up to 3rd under big pressure from Seb Priaulx.
On board with Seb Priaulx then, the final couple of corners. Seb Montoya is going defensive at every possible opportunity. The 15-year-old, there's going to be a nudge there. Round goes Priaulx on the lock stops, gets it straightened out again, but Montoya still holds on to 2nd place. Here's Job van Uytert out of the final corner to take the win in the reverse grid race for the Pro Cup. Very strong drive from him, and it's going to be Seb Montoya just who holds on ahead of Nicky Thiem in 3rd position. Devlin DeFrancesco 4th. Anthony Davidson with a great drive to come across the line in 5th position. Priaulx 6th, Dillman 7th, Christodoulou 8th, Aitken 9th, Kevin Hansen completing the top 10. Wow, what a busy race.
Scramble at the end, and Seb Montoya, fair play. He somehow held on. I think the Aitken incident at turn 6, I think Aitken sort of turned in a little bit on Montoya from the outside. I think he had room to go, and it was side-by-side contact, so racing incident. And just elbows out when he could, and he's taken 2nd.
Wow, what a race that was. Absolutely action-packed from the pro racers, and it is Job van Uytert who takes the win. In some ways, the more notable results will be further down the order, because how far up did the drivers who started at the back climb? Alex Buncombe had got up into the top 10 pretty much before he seemed to have an accident all by himself and lost a lot of ground. So yeah, a busy race. And we can now quickly speak to Job van Uytert, the winner of the reverse grid race. Job, great effort there, and in the end you managed to pull away for the win.
Yeah, it was not bad. It was quite fun. It's cool to have some benefits when qualifying very poorly in a race.
Yeah, well, we've been saying you've been a sort of a front runner before this, but now it hasn't gone quite so well the last couple of weeks until today.
I didn't put in that much time and effort in the 3.5 in making the quali lap all right, and then in the races it's up and down. Like Malaysia was pretty harsh, like the first couple of laps, but now this track was a bit better. Yeah, the car's getting better and feeling good. So it was nice.
Really quickly, how do I say your name?
Oh, which way? The German, English, Dutch?
How do you say it?
In Holland, we say Job van Uytert.
Uytert, okay.
Yeah, but if you
Uytert.
say Job van Uytert, I'm more than happy with that.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much, Job. Congratulations.
Thank you too.
So there we go. Great to hear from the race winner, Job van Uytert. I think more racing to come in a couple of minutes' time.
I like how you've done that live, Jack, to ask his name. That way no one in chat can call you out. You've done your research live in front of them, and everything's great. I would say that's a good job.
Good job, Van Uytert.
There you go. I was hoping you would pick up on that one. Pretty solid stuff throughout that race. Again, I have to say, for someone who's trying to, give away the championship, we're still early in it. He's not, he hasn't thrown away, but Buncombe had a great chance to score points on a reverse grid, and he just got involved in drama late in the race. Julian, I think maybe, keep things clean there, and you're off to the lead again.
Yeah, it's such a fine line, isn't it, between keeping things clean but also trying to overtake slower cars. That's what the reverse grid race is all about. You had Lascaratos dropping through, Christodoulou as well dropping through. At the end, Seb Montoya dropping. And you can't just keep things clean because you end up just being faced with a load of cars and inevitably you have to get scrapping with them. So shame for Buncombe. He lost a lot of points there. Gutierrez never featured, never got going after a bad start. Tom Dillman's going to be somewhere in this championship. A win and now a 7th place, and Ant Davidson as well, 5th. Those two are going to be flying up.
Well, I think the interesting thing as well, Jack, is that we're seeing the reverse grid certainly giving the back guys maybe didn't get qualifying right, as Job Benoit said that time. I can't say his name. I won't even try. But it allows the team's trophy to actually be wide open as well, the manufacturers, because they've got drivers at both ends of the fields, and we're seeing guys like Anthony Davidson who may not capitalize early. Great race last week, actually won the second race, the reverse grid, and this time 5th. That's going to keep that extremely close as well.
Big result today for Anthony Davidson because he qualified 11th. So in the reverse grid, he would have been starting in something like 29th place. So to come through to get such a strong top 10 finish was a really, really good drive from Anthony Davidson, I have to say. So Mercedes are going to be looking strong at the top of the order, no matter what happened to Esteban Gutierrez in that one.
Well, this is week 2, we say, of 5 in the championship. We reach our midway point next week. To keep in touch with all of it and keep track of everything, make sure you follow @WeAreTheRace on both Instagram and Twitter, as well as hitting the subscribe button down below this channel so that you don't miss when we go live. I'll give you a hint. There's some more action we'll talk about coming up on this channel about an hour after we wrap up, including some incredible drivers like Tony Kanaan and some pretty cool machinery. So again, hit subscribe and then check out the website. There's cool articles. I think there's a podcast. Claire Cottingham actually is in it. She's pretty good. Jack's there too. He's all right. But tons of stuff going on.
And what's it called? It's called the Race Esports Podcast. You didn't even give the name. It's available on all podcasting platforms.
All of them. Well, very, very cool. Definitely check that out as well. You can do tons of stuff. Julian, I don't know, maybe we can start our own podcast. We'll call it the Once We Turn 30. I guess I'm 31. It doesn't work. Once You Turn 30, You're a Legend podcast with Julian Palmer.
Though I'm still miffed.
I think that's actually a reasonable. To be too young to be a legend is that's quite good. I think that's. But
some people did legendary stuff at a young age. I mean, I'm not putting myself necessarily in this category, but I think you can have young legends.
Yeah. Okay.
I disagree.
We're just trying to help
permanently.
Your ego. That's all.
I'll cut in here and actually give a hint. I alluded to another race coming up after this one. We've got the Trans Am Esports Trans Am Challenge coming up on this exact channel about an hour after we wrap. As I said, Tony Kanaan is going to be in that. Tons of cool drivers. Trans Am's having a massive comeback in North American racing. And if you look back, it's some of the coolest cars that I think ever raced in the road circuits in North America. So you don't want to miss that. We'll be right back in just a sec as we conclude or get to the conclusion of today in our championship. The All-Star Esports Series powered by Rocket Phones. We've got 1 minute until the race. It's the Sim Masters reverse grid, and this is probably the most competitive, grid in sim racing right now, and a lot to play for. Currently, Bono Huis is 14 points back on Juraj Simoncic, and the question I have is, when is Yayovsky going to start scoring again, Jack?
Well, that is the big question, isn't it? And a big part of that could be answered in this reverse grid race. There's Zbigniew Sciarra starting in 5th position, Alan Terzic in 6th, David Greco and Danny Haddad completing the top 8. Boya Milan in the 10th position. Yannick Bock racing for the GPVWC team is in 11th spot ahead of Yuri Toman. And then it's further back that we start to get our big hitters. Kamil Pawlowski's in 14th place. Mohamed Patel had a decent run in race 1. And then we have got Liam Duval in 17th ahead of Manuel Biancolila, Michi Hoyer 19th, Nuno Pinto 20th. But here we go then, the race about to get underway. It's the reverse grid Sim Masters. Kuba Brzezinski's on pole position as we wait for the race to get underway. Jajowski second, Siggy third as we go down towards the first corner. And it's a great start from Erhan Jajowski into the lead of the race before they even get to the first corner. Kevin Siggy's trying to come with him up the inside, and it is Jajowski in front, Brzezinski second, Siggy third, Epps fourth, Ciara fifth, Terzic sixth, Greco, Palenci, Haddad and Bock, the rest of the top 10. On board in the top right with Jene Simoncic as he tries to carve his way up the order in the early stages. But Jajowski and Siggy, both after poor qualifyings, have got a chance here, Jolyon, to get back on the boards.
I slightly wonder if they had maybe intentionally poor qualifyings, looking at the three of them who were so competitive last time and have now wound up at the front of the grid. There's one for you. I just suddenly, when Jajowski, Brzezinski, Siggy at the front of the grid, that doesn't seem quite right. But anyway, Jajowski's just jumped into the lead of the race. Brilliant start. And he just, the reaction was great. He was just gone alongside Brzezinski pretty much before Brzezinski had even moved.
Well, we do have race stewards for this competition, so they will be looking into that if there's any suspicion of that kind of action. But we're about to finish the end of lap one, and it's Erhan Jajowski, the champion from the previous championship here on the Race All-Star Series, and it is him leading the way, 0.7 of a second ahead of Kuba Brzezinski, the Williams driver, in second place. Kevin Siggy's in third, Mike Epps is in fourth, Terzic is in fifth, Ciara, Greco, Palenci, Haddad and Milan completing the rest of the top 10 at the moment. Palenci has just got past David Greco and up into 7th spot, but we'll see whether Erhan Jajowski can break this train up at the front on lap 2 of 10. There is Kevin Siggy in the bottom left.
Look of focus for Siggy in third place, just behind Brzezinski still. So the top three still in the top three positions that they were on the grid. Only Jajowski jumped Brzezinski into the lead, and there's half a second clear then. But Jajowski, remember, was fighting for the win last time. So something's happened here that's meant he's qualified second last. And he was erratic last week, but he was fundamentally quick and led most of the non-reverse grid race. So he's either had a catastrophic quali or something else has happened. But anyway, he's in the lead now, ahead of Brzezinski and Siggy still.
Up in the top right, we were briefly on board with Liam de Waal, who's racing for the GPVWC team, races in the Super League Lights Championship this last year, having been a Super League runner last time, and I think he might have just got past Mohammed Patel coming through the final corner and over the start-finish straight again to start lap 3 of 10, just half a second between, into the back! Far too late on the brakes there, and that's a big collision. Not quite sure, was that Epps? Yeah, Epps trying to force his way past, and he and Siggy, I think, have come together, and Terzic has got ahead of Siggy now as well.
Epps made the move stick. He misjudged the braking distance for turn one and misjudged basically where Siggy was going to stop and ended up hitting him and forcing him wide into turn one. That allowed Terzic through, but Epps has continued. Has he got damage though? Because 50% damage on these cars, and that was quite a big hit there for Mike Epps.
We'll wait and see whether his pace deteriorates at all. Jajowski out in front, 0.6 of a second ahead of Kuba Brzezinski in second place. On board with Brendan Lee in the top right, the Mercedes driver trying to climb up the order. He's up into 18th place at the moment, lap 3 of 10. And Epps is now a second back from the Jajowski-Brzezinski battle up at the front through the final corner and out across the start-finish straight again. We're on board with Brendan Lee in 18th place.
Work to do for Brendan Lee. Where's Simoncic coming through as well? Kasdorp down in 31st. And Simoncic not yet featuring, but remember, he does like to save those tyres, and he'll probably go on a late charge at the end of the race, and Nikodem Wisniewski as well. So they'll be ones to watch out for. Bono Huis is already up to 17th. So that's a good start for him, and he's not out of this championship picture yet at all.
Certainly not. He's second in the standings at the moment. Oh, there's contact. Dennis Lind hitting Gergo Baldi, and he's then going to get passed, I think, by Brendan Lee up the inside in the Mercedes, or certainly he might be getting double Mercedes here. Huis gets in front, then Lind, then Brendan Lee. And We're on lap 4 of 10. Lin trying to fight back, but he's got the outside line, and that allows Brendan Lee to send it to the inside, but he can't quite make that move stick. Jojowski, Brzezinski, and Epps, the top 3 up at the front, but this is all the squabble over ultimately 16th place.
Brzezinski 6/10 behind Jojowski, so that race still raging, but not quite as fiercely as this in the midfield. It's always so close. The whole day so far has seen battles non-stop, particularly in the midfield, but often at the front as well. And here we go. It's again onto this crucial final corner. Got to get on the gas as soon as possible. And then the slipstream effect is big. DRS as well, but they're in a DRS train hit. 2 ahead.
Down towards turn 1. Brendan Lee watching the fight up in front. And he loses out, and then Pinto tries to take advantage, but Lee comes across to cover the inside, and that means Liam de Waal comes through to move up into 19th place. So Pinto loses a place in all of that. Huge lockups here and there. Someone's up the inside of Nuno Pinto. Didn't quite see who that was, but he's still holding on. Oh yeah, Wisniewski, good spot. That 5 of 10. Great fighting here. Pinto still trying to get past Brendan Lee. On the run down now into turn 6. Lee covers the inside, holds onto the place. Nuno Pinto and Nikodem Wisniewski going wheel to wheel. Still Jojowski out in front, 7/10 ahead of Brzezinski.
Important stuff this for Wisniewski to try and make as many places as he can, because he didn't have a great week last week. And Simoncic so far has been very consistent, but he needs to try and recover from a race 1 win. If he can get through even into the mid-teens towards the top 10, a huge point scored and will bring him right back into contention. And he's already cleared about 10 cars, so he's done a good job so far.
On board here with Yunus Raivio, with Gergo Baldi, as he tries to get to the outside of Raivio, and Raivio goes into the back of the car in front. It's all very, very busy on lap 6 of 10. Further back, Yannick Bock was getting involved in that as well for the GPVWC All-Stars team. And still, Jojowski and Brzezinski just 7/10 of a second apart. So we'll wait and see what tyre wear does with the front runners, because that's been a big factor in the last couple of races in the Sim Masters.
Yeah, look at the way that Siggy's dropped a bit from the back of Terzic. He's not all over the back of him, and Siggy was in 3rd place earlier before Mike Epps sent in that ambitious move down at turn 1. But I think Siggy might be trying to save the tyres a little bit. It's cat and mouse now. They know how these races go. I think Simoncic has basically shown everyone last week and in race 1 that you cannot go hell for leather from the start, because you're going to end up with no tyres scrabbling around on the defence later on. So let's wait and see what the likes of Brzezinski, Epps, Terzic and Siggy have got later on. Brzezinski actually just shutting the gap now, though, 4/10. Is this the charge towards Jojowski?
They come down into the first corner, this middle pack anyway, but it's just 3/10, 2, 3, 4/10. It's fluctuating, isn't it, between Jojowski and Brzezinski. Epps is only just in front of Alan Terzic as well by some 2 or 3/10 of a second, and Kevin Siggy is right behind them. So there's great, huge chains all the way through the order. There's the top 2, Jojowski and Brzezinski, and then there's 3rd, 4th and 5th, Epps, Terzic and Siggy. And of course, if you do get damage in the game, we might not see it, but it really can affect your handling and subsequently your tyre wear.
Epps was the man that had that contact with Siggy, and he's just starting to drop away now from Brzezinski, who's now charging. Here we go on board. Brzezinski looking at the back of Jojowski. These two have been front runners pretty much all the weeks until they had a bad qualifying here. Now they're at the front again, and Brzezinski is a little bit too far away. Maybe this time 8/10. Jojowski has clearly enough tyres in the tank to just about keep that gap stable. Even with the DRS now for Brzezinski, the gap closes, but not enough down to turn 1.
Lap 8 of 10. Bit of a lockup from Erhan Jojowski in front. Half a second between them. And Erhan Jojowski racing for Romain Grosjean's esports team ahead of the Williams esports team of Kuba Brzezinski. Still, Epps is just a couple of tenths ahead of Terzic and Siggy, so that fight is continuing. Brendan Lee's dropped all the way back to 32nd place at some point, so that's not ideal for the Englishman. And we're on board with Bojan Milan in the top right as he comes into the left-hander, chasing David Greco, who in turn is chasing Danny Haddad as they come out onto the back straight. Down towards turn 6, does Greco fancy a move? Instead, he just kind of bump drafts Danny Haddad a little bit to the outside, a little bit more contact. And that might give Milan the opportunity, not quite. But look how close Kuba Brzezinski is, though, in the top right now, as he and Yayovski are going to do battle down into turn 1. Can he stay close enough through the final sequence of corners?
He's just got to stay close now, and he's going to get a great run. 6/10 if he can stay there with DRS and a nice slipstream. He'll put Yayovski under some pressure when they get to the braking zone at turn 1. Wisniewski's 18th, behind Bono Huis now. And Simoncic is still not inside the top 20. I think he's 21st or 22nd. Yeah, 22nd. So further back, Wisniewski's doing a good job. Here we go at the front.
Here comes Daniele Haddad. Oh, David Greco sent the dummy, gets the inside line, locks up, and gets it stopped. Nicely done. Haddad tries to fight back into 2, but he's not able to do so. Still just 3/10 now between the race leaders. Epps has managed to gap Alan Terzic a little bit. Penultimate lap of the race. We're on board with Kuba Brzezinski in second place. He's got one more run down into the first corner with the DRS and onto the brakes. Oh, Epps is, Terzic attacking Epps. There might have been a bit of contact there, and Kevin Siggy's going to take advantage, is he? He's out on the grass on the outside. No changes of position, but I think there might have been a touch there between Terzic and Epps. But Brzezinski's now just 2/10 back from Erhan Yayovski in the battle for the lead of the race.
We're going to get a move here now. Top right corner, Brzezinski tucked in behind Yayovski on the last main overtaking place with the DRS, with a big slipstream. He's going to be really, really close down towards turn 1. Here we go then, half a second, and that gap's just going to close and close. Is Yayovski far enough ahead though?
Into the braking zone, it looks as though he is. Onto the brakes into turn 1, and Kuba Brzezinski not quite close enough. On board with the Williams driver in second place for the final lap. And yeah, Yayovski looking very strong. It's been a good drive from Yayovski. This is the Yayovski of old that we used to know in the last month
and last week mainly, where he made a mistake, but he was leading most of the race until Simoncic passed him. He's been quick for a very long time until the qualifying session. But Brzezinski now he's not out of the woods yet. Yayovski still half a second, and any mistake, any missed apex or slide, Brzezinski can have a last run. 4/10 in it.
How messy is this going to be down into turn 6? Look at all these cars together, all behind Eunice Raivio. We're on board with Jene Simoncic, who's in the middle of it on the final lap. Everybody is safely through, just about. He's up behind the 20th place car. Someone's off. Whoa, that was a big one into the Armco barriers, and Simoncic is going to try and take 2 places out of that. I think that might have been Bianca Lila who heavily hit the wall. Erhan Yayovski, though, comes out across the line to take the win in the reverse grid race in the Sim Masters. Kuba Brzezinski in second place, just about, and Mike Epps is going to score a podium finish, having been promoted from the pro driver category up to the sim driver category. Great drive from Mike Epps. Siggy 4th, Terzic 5th, Ciara 6th, and then everybody else across the line in sort of 10th place. Absolute mayhem on that last lap.
They drove so cleanly, that whole bunch. Yeah. Only when someone ran wide, Bianca Lilla fired into the wall, but very clean and respectful. Fair play to them, really, and really fair play to Mike Epps. There was a bit of contact with his move on Kevin Siggy early on, but his pace was good, and he's a real world driver. He's been promoted into this this sim race, and he's on the podium.
Look at this. This is just madness.
How did they stay clean through this corner? Look at them. It's like it's a rolling start.
Wow, that's fantastic. Really, really classy stuff. These are why they are our sim masters. Erhan Yayovski takes the win. Kuba Brzezinski in second place. Mike Epps in third position. Siggy 4th. Terzic 5th. Ciara Palenci-Pavlovsky, Greco, and Daniele Haddad completing the top 10 with just one more race to come this afternoon, and that's going to be the Reverse Grid Legends Trophy race. But let's speak to a driver actually further down. Let's see. So Bono Huis in 15th was the top of the front runners. Simoncic only 20th. So I think that will see Bono Huis close in on Simoncic in the lead of the championship. Let's speak now to Mike Epps, becoming a legend in his own right, mixing it in with the proper sim racers. Great job, Mike. That was a busy race for you.
Yeah, cheers, man. It's definitely been something to adapt to when you're thrown into the sim pit, as it were, the deep end, about 3 hours before last weekend. So a lot to take in. But I seem to have good race pace. Over the one lap, these guys are ahead of me. They've just got the knack. But during a race, I can hold my own, and I can use my own life experience, as you will, to try and defend and attack. And got lucky there and managed to hold third.
Cool. Congratulations. Best of luck for next week.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
So Mike Epps with a podium finish. Really, really impressive stuff. As he said, he was one of the professional racers, but then last week he got moved up to the pro category, to the full-on Sim Masters category. And goodness me, he's performed well. One more race to come.
I don't know if that was reverse grid or reverse race. I felt like I was watching Merlin age, as the last lap was literally like a 2x2 restart. That was ridiculous to be that close together.
Jing, what does that mean? Sorry.
Merlin aged backwards. It's the whole mythical tale
he?
of he was born as an old man. And don't worry, sorry, just nerding out. It's fine. But that was pretty, that was a pretty cool race.
Yeah, it was a really good race. It felt like I was watching Benjamin Button or something as the race progressed. But it's but that shot we just had of them going 2x2 down into the hairpin, everybody on the final lap battling for places, and only one driver into the wall after that shows how super classy these sim racers were. I love the legends. They're all amazing drivers. I don't think we'd have had the same end result.
I think you're right. I also want to point out, Bono Huis gets back to 15th. You're absolutely right. That gets him much closer to Simoncic, who was only 20th. But Yayovsky on the reverse grid finally gets a win, Julian, and maybe this will get him into the Formula cars, because obviously he was dominant in the LMP3.
Look, Yayovsky was quick last week. This is the thing. Did he qualify on pole last week? I think he did. So he's gone from pole to plumb last across 1 week. And then he wins the reverse grid pretty well. You know, the guys that started at the front finished at the front. We didn't have the race like we did in the pro race, where you had Laskaratos, Christodoulou, and a few others just dropping back. They qualified last, but they had the pace to be at the front. Interesting.
Yeah, well, and it is a bit. I wonder if there's almost strategy in that, or maybe there was an error. It could have been anything technical in qualifying. You don't have a ton of times to I guess, get it right when things go wrong. But that said, someone who's got it right many times so far in our Legends race is Jan Magnussen. And if he can get in front of Button, which is the way it'll go in the reverse grid, this could be super exciting, Jack.
Yeah, really looking forward to it.
Hello,
this
everybody.
is Jan's setup.
Jan Magnussen here. And this is the rig that I'm using for the Legends Trophy. I've set it up here in our kitchen so that there's easy access to some food. So while I'm driving this, somebody's cooking me a meal. So the setup I have here, to be honest, I don't know a lot about it, but it looks fancy and it's super fun to use. It comes from MB Racing that I borrowed it from, a team that I have with Ronnie Bremer. So it's using a Fanatec DD1 wheelbase. Got a cool pedal setup that feels quite true, quite like the real race car. And so I've been working a lot to try and find some speed. There's some fast guys out there. So I'm pretty much practicing every day for an hour or so every day to try and get up to speed. I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to the race this weekend.
I want to put my sim rig in the kitchen and have someone cook dinner for me. I bought my mom a really cool apron at Mosport this year that actually says burn dinner, not rubber. So I might have to wear that next week on the broadcast in honor of Jan.
Yeah, go for it. Knock yourself out. It'll be cool. Why? But you don't want the sim rig in the kitchen, because then when people are cooking, you're going to get distracted by the cooking. You want to leave the sim rig and go to the kitchen to then subsequently eat. I don't want to be in the kitchen like with like Gordon Ramsay style effing and jeffing.
No, but then you get nice aromas. You want the aromas when you're driving, just to sort of like tease you along.
Maybe.
Just
Well, that said, we'll find out after, because we're coming back with our Legends race. Well, we're almost to the end, but in some ways we've saved the best for last. And those who started last are now on pole as we get into our Legends reverse race here on the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. Just one to go. Button has been the class of the field, to the point where I'm almost considering if maybe he needs to go to the Pro Cup. But Max Papis will start on pole with the reverse grid, and that'll mean the work is cut out for Button to make his way through, and maybe Papis can run away.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here today. That's a good question. What would Button do in the Pro Cup? But anyway, how far can he climb back through the order? Because he's just taken the lead of the championship, but that could all go away from him today because of this reverse grid if he ends up in a melee. So here we go. The reverse grid race has Max Papis on pole position for the Legends Trophy. Alongside him on the front row of the grid, then Darren Turner and Tom Coronel in 5th and 6th. Oriol Servia is in 7th. Tiago Monteiro is in 8th position. 9th on the grid is Michel Jourdain with Adrian Fernandez in 10th and Andy Priaulx in 11th. Vitantonio Liuzzi had a good race, carving through the order. Can he do the same from 12th here today? And then we've got Montoya, Herta, Franchitti, Solberg, the top 16. And then it's Pirro and Jenson Button bringing up the rear of the grid for this reverse grid race, along with Jan Magnussen and Mario Dominguez at the back of the grid. So these cars about to do battle down towards turn 1. The reverse grid race in the Legends Trophy about to get underway. Papis on pole, watch for Buttons on board in the top right. Oh no! Helio, you have to wait for the lights to go out. He's gone anyway. It's his birthday tomorrow. He can do what he wants. Papis gets away fine from pole, but a very, very messy start from Helio Castroneves, who's gone. He's on his way into the turn 1, and everybody else now into the first corner on board with Mika Salo. Tom Coronel right behind him. Button seeing the carnage unfold in front of him. Franchitti and Montoya getting into each other, and Button's been hit by Montoya, and now he's been hit, and now he's upside down. And Button, the championship leader, is entwined with Emanuele Pirro at the back of the pack. The first two in the championship. Oh, and Button's been hit again, this time by David Brabham, I think, and it's absolute carnage at the start. It wasn't Brabham, it was someone else, but chaos.
Magnussen 11th, now 10th, just passing Pirro dropping down, or Liuzzi dropping down, but Button caught up. He had actually made a nice few places on the run just down to turn 1, but then minding his own business, someone else getting out of shape, I think it was Montoya, and just clipped Jenson into a spin and then a roll and then another spin, and he's got a big recovery drive to do now. And Jan Magnussen in 10th can score some good points here.
As far as the championship is concerned then, coming into this race, it is Jenson Button at the top, 4 points ahead of Pirro. Oh, bye-bye Oriol Servia in the Armco. And then it's Montoya in 3rd. And you're right, Jan Magnussen is 20 points off Button, and he's already up into 10th position. So this is a big opportunity for Jan Magnussen. But here's Tom Coronel fighting with Mika Salo. And now Petter Solberg's going to try and take 2 in 1 onto the brakes into the first quarter. Max Papis is still in the lead, but for how long? Salo goes flying in. Far too much speed, and he's off the circuit. And Petter Solberg now leads with Coronel in 2nd, Papis 3rd, Turner 4th, Priaulx 5th, Salo down to 6th.
Solberg from 4th to 1st in one corner then. Up the inside, Salo went off all on his own, and Solberg committed on the brakes past 2 cars. Helio Castroneves has now been disqualified for that massive jump start. I have to say, everyone else did well to not go with him. When you're driving and you see someone else do a jump stop, particularly at the front, it's so easy to just panic and drop the clutch yourself. But they didn't, and Helio has had an early retirement then from this race. But Solberg leading.
Together on track once again, as they were for most of the first race. Here's a look at the replay of Castroneves' start then. He goes and then thinks, oh no, better stop. Well, actually, I've gone now, so here we go. and then presumably didn't serve his drive-through penalty or was instantly disqualified for that outrageous jump start. I've never quite seen a jump start like it, I don't think.
Papis went in super deep to turn 1 as well. But yeah, it was a huge jump start from Castroneves, and that's a shame because he had a great chance actually. He had good pace earlier on. Starting from the front row, I thought he might have been in with a real chance of actually winning this one.
Here, Priaulx, Turner again, side by side for 3rd place. Button has recovered up into 13th position. Turner holds the inside in the Aston Martin liveried car, and Priaulx a little bit loose, they're off. Big into the front for Priaulx, for Turner. Priaulx recovers, Salo's now up into 3rd place. Papis comes with him, and Priaulx immediately gets back past Papis. But Solberg out in front, Coronel 2nd, Salo 3rd, Priaulx 4th, Papis 5th. Magnussen now up into 6th place as everybody just keeps falling off the road in front of him.
And just barged a little bit wide by Max Papis there, trying to pass him, and he might get done actually by David Brabham now. All bunching up behind Papis in the background of this one, after Priaulx and Turner having another incident. 2-2 races today between the two of them. But Zach Magnussen now going through on the inside. Brabham following him as well past Papis, and then Oriol Servia as well.
And there's the view of the airbox. Oh, and Turner's off again. Turner was having a big slide there. Button's up into 10th place. Servia's having a slide. His 2nd visit to the Armco of the day. Emanuele Pirro has managed to climb back up the order. He's in front of Button. Pirro's up into 7th place. Button's up into 9th. Magnussen's up into 4th now. And he is some 3 seconds back from Mika Salo in 3rd. Button all over the grass. He's trying to get past Oriol Servia. Looks to the outside, coming through the final corner at turn 13. And then down the start, finish straight. And we're on lap 4 of 10 now in this reverse grid Legends Trophy race down towards turn 1.
Button looking at the back of Servia, and that's Pirro just ahead as well. Pirro's having a great race on the back of Brabham and then Fernandez. So these are the championship leaders already coming through into the top 10, and there's plenty of the race still to go. And this is with Jenson Button having that wipeout on the first lap. He might get a place here as well. Pirro's actually just dropped behind Servia, and then Servia's hit round, and that's a shame there for Oriol Servia, out of 8th place. Don't know who hit him. It was either Jenson Button or Emanuele Pirro.
One of the two. The race stewards will have a look at that. Pirro now just less than a second behind David Brabham in 6th position. Jan Magnussen is closing in on Mika Salo. There's about a second and a half between he and Salo now, as Juan Pablo Montoya has got back up to 11th place, just in front of Dario Franchitti, whose force feedback failed in the first race. So that's what happened to Dario in race 1. So now that's why he started to drop back down the order. He goes past Papis, chasing Montoya as he almost gets up into the top 10. Lap 4 of 10.
Solberg looking good. 5 seconds out front pretty much on Tom Coronel, who then has 5 more seconds back to Salo, who is going to have his mirrors full now. Jan Magnussen onto the back of 3rd place already in this race. He's got a good chance here. If he can, we'll see his pace. He's got some time to make up to catch Coronel and certainly Solberg, but he's carved his way through pretty much free of any incident, which is a huge result from the back of the grid in this Legends race.
Here is Montoya and Franchitti still battling over 10th and 11th positions, really leaning on the cars down through turn 2. Magnussen is now with Salo for 3rd place. 0.2 of a second between them. Surely it's just a matter of time before Jan Magnussen is up into 3rd. You can see them in the top right there. We're on board with Jan. Montoya getting sideways meanwhile, but where will Magnussen try and find the move on Mika Salo in 3rd position, the former Tyrrell and of course Ferrari driver. Franchitti trying to get past Montoya, and there's the little nudge and through.
Classic touring car move again there from Franchitti this time. They've had a few in the Legends race, but there's one way to get through and into the top 10, and he's showing better pace here, so that makes sense actually, having a sim issue in the first race for Dario. Spinning incident for Jourdain there.
Yeah, here's on board with Jan Magnussen then, coming through the start-finish straight again to start lap number 6. Jenson Button is in 7th place. He's right up behind Pirro here and Liuzzi. Magnussen is going through into 3rd. Onto the brakes into turn 1, and Magnussen is up into the top 3. 3 wide here. Pirro on the inside. Fernandez on the outside. Button trying to follow Pirro through. And they're both going to be up into 5th and 6th now, I think. Oh, Fernandez chops across the front fairly robustly there on Button. And Pirro has 5th. Fernandez 6th. Button 7th. And this would put Pirro back into the lead of the championship.
Button's got to be very careful he doesn't have a spin. The amount of times we see drivers that are on recovery charges just have one little bite too much and get involved in a tangle. And Jenson right now is being sensible and not going for any crazy moves. He might have a look here on Fernandez if he's early on the brakes, Fernandez, but he's not. And Jenson's also going to look out for Liuzzi, who's just behind him in the orange car. So just cannot afford to get hit, basically, coming through. Pirro did a nice move, and Jenson's got in a bit hot there, maybe just a wet line. But yeah, it's a real risk versus reward for these top guys coming through, and that's where Magnussen has done so well to get up into 3rd place already.
That was the replay of Jan Magnussen going past Mika Salo. As you say, done a very, very good, neat, clean job, Jan Magnussen. And like with every category, it's going to be almost the reverse grid races that make the big difference, because that's where you can get big points over your rivals. Petter Solberg still leading in this race, 7 seconds ahead of Tom Coronel in 2nd place. Then it's Jan Magnussen 3rd, Salo 4th, Pirro 5th. Button, who we're on board with here, isn't cruising past Adrian Fernandez like I thought he may do. Petter Solberg out in front though, big slide from the Swede as he starts another lap. And there he is in the bottom left.
Don't think it's a coincidence that Petter Solberg has got a lot more competitive with the switch back to these Brabham BT44Bs, because as Jenson Button said earlier, you have to drift them. And even look at Solberg there at the steering wheel, just correcting oversteer the whole way through the corner into the right, flicks it in. He's actually got quite a lot of understeer on that one, and then armfuls of opposite lock on the exit. But he's clearly a man that is happy sliding a car around, and that seems to be the quickest way in these cars.
Lap 7 of 10. Solberg about to start lap 8 of 10, out in the lead of the race. 7.6 seconds clear of Tom Coronel in 2nd position. And then it's Magnussen 3rd, Salo 4th. Button is just a couple of tenths back from Adrian Fernandez, so this could be Button's opportunity, because he's losing time to Emanuele Pirro as they come down the start-finish straight in a couple of moments. But lovely driving this from Petter Solberg out in front. Been really enjoyable to watch him race. Here is Solberg again. This is the drifting. Look how much he loads it up. Front left's off the floor.
Beautiful car control. And he's making very few mistakes, to be honest. He's looking every bit the historic Formula One driver right now.
Obviously, Petter Solberg is Norwegian. My apologies for calling him Swedish. As we come up into the left-hander on board with Tonio Liuzzi. Then Adrian Fernandez in front, and Button is through then. So Button is ahead now of Adrian Fernandez and into 6th place, but he's about 3 seconds back from Pirro. So I think Pirro's going to finish this race in front of Button, unless Jenson can find a lot of pace in the last couple of laps. And I think that would give Pirro the lead in the championship back again. It would certainly be very tight between them.
Pirro
the gap
can pass
is 4
Salo
points.
still. He's only 1 second behind Mika Salo, Emanuele Pirro, and that'll definitely put him ahead of Jenson Button in the championship again. This was the move then, Button on the inside of Fernandez. Remember, Fernandez won last time out. He's no slouch at all. He's getting better all the time. And it's not all that surprising that he managed to just hold up Jenson for a few laps there. But yeah, that has cost him a lot in that battle, because he was right. He almost tried to follow Pirro through, remember, in the first place, but has lost a good 3 seconds now, and probably any chance of passing Pirro or Mika Salo, and that's the one that Pirro wants.
So lap 9 of 10, penultimate lap of the race. And there is Oriol Servia chasing down Darren Turner, on board with David Brabham in the top right. Well, now with Tonio Liuzzi, who's got David Brabham chasing him down. As they come into the right, and then down the hill again. It's Sun. Magnussen is into, Pirro is right behind Salo for 4th position. So this could be a big move for the championship if he can get through. As they come down now. And here they are, the battle for 4th place. Salo has it at the moment. Oh, so there I am. Sorry, just quickly. Oliver Solberg is Swedish. So that's why I've got myself confused. Oliver Solberg is Swedish because Petter has Oliver Solberg's mum is Swedish and his father, Petter, is Norwegian. So that's why I've got myself in a Scandinavian muddle. Here's a Finn, Mika Salo in the bottom left, holding on from Pirro as we start the penultimate lap. Both sliding around the final corner, out over the start, finish straight again. And Magnussen has now caught Coronel as well. So in the top right, Jan Magnussen passing Tom Coronel for 2nd place. They bang wheels. What's Coronel doing? He's put them both in the wall, and Magnussen's in the gravel trap. Big disaster for Jan Magnussen, and Pirro goes through into what is now 2nd place.
What on earth was Coronel doing? Just driving right and right and right until Magnussen's in the wall. I mean, shocking bit of driving from Coronel. Magnussen was clearly up the inside, and he kept coming across.
We'll have to see if we can get a replay of that. Coronel, known for being a little bit of a controversial figure, and just wonder whether he's paginoed that one. We're on the final lap of the race. Solberg in the lead, 14 seconds ahead of Pirro, who's just in front of Salo, who is just in front of Button. So Button has caught Mika Salo as well in all of that squabble. So can Button pass Salo on the final lap? All of this is allowing Petter Solberg to disappear up at the front by 14 seconds. But can Button find a way past Salo on the final lap? Here's Petter Solberg through the final corner now, and it's a win in the reverse grid race for Petter Solberg, his first win of the season. Oliver Solberg celebrating with him. Pictures getting taken as well of a historic moment, and Button as he hits Salo. He's going to get good drive out of the final corner. This is going to be a drag race towards the line. I think Salo is just about going to hold on. Is he? Yes. Cutting the timing beam now. Salo in 3rd. Button in 4th. What a great fight that was. Here's a look at the replay, Jolien.
Right, so you got Magnussen on the inside, and then they're Actually, I think they interlock wheels. They interlock wheels on the main straight, and that's what pitched Coronel into the inside. I believe. I thought that was going to be Coronel driving right, but I think Magnussen actually just slightly tapped the wheel of Coronel, which pitched him into a slide, and then pitched Magnussen into the wall.
That's a tough one to call because they both seemed to sort of come towards each other, didn't they? Coronel seemed to squeeze Magnussen. And then Magnussen sort of went back over the other way a little bit. Here you go. So Coronel squeezed him, and then Magnussen...
Look, though, Magnussen's moving from right to left. It's Magnussen that puts the unnecessary movement and then goes into Coronel. Hang on.
And then from there, I think they're both passengers, really.
And then from there, they end up in the wall. So Magnussen's the one. He's the aggressor. This is a Leclerc-Vettel Brazil last year sort of moment. And Magnussen there is the Vettel that's moved across and hit Coronel. So I take it back, Tom Coronel. I don't think there was anything particularly he could maybe have done about that.
Me too. Petter Solberg takes the win. Emanuele Pirro in 2nd place. Salo in 3rd with his first podium. Button in 4th. Magnussen still recovered to 5th. Brabham, Franchitti, Fernandez, Servia and Jourdain completing the top 10. Well, we can now speak to, well, here's further back in the order. Tom Coronel finished 11th. Juan Pablo Montoya down in 12th place. His championship chances have not gone well today. Team Andy Priaulx completing the top 20, retiring, as did Liuzzi and Castroneves after his jump start. So let's check in with Petter Solberg, race winner in the Legends Trophy reverse grid race. Petter, what a great drive. 15 seconds clear in the end.
It was great. It was really great. I had a very, very good start. And then I have to back off because I get too close to the car in front. And then I was behind. I know I had a very, very good speed. And then I just have to try to be clean as possible. Like the first heat, I braked a little bit too late. And But this time well, a second victory now, so it's a great feeling, great feeling.
This circuit racing's easy.
No, circuit racing is definitely not easy, but I always loved the circuit racing. You know, I tried Formula One.
Hey guys, hold on to control there.
And with Oreca, and I'd always done really well, but this is different. But the car is difficult to drive, but great fun. But easy to do mistakes, that's for sure.
Yeah, great. Well, congratulations, Petter. Well done.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Great to hear from Petter Solberg then. So he was very happy with that one, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was pumped on that. That's the most celebration I think we've seen yet, which is pretty exciting. And it goes to show how much these guys are actually getting into it, because they've been getting faster, they've been getting quicker, and now there's actually a little more on the line. He as well had a bit of a spin in the first race, so great to see him recover and get back into it. Could be great for the championship as well. We'll take a look at those tables and standings when we come back in just a second. I think it was good that we went back and took a second look at that, because I, like you, Julian, I actually thought, yeah, Cornell was way out of line, but then it did look like they kind of interlocked. A bit of an interesting second look.
Well, we only saw it initially on board in the inset with Magnussen, and it just looked like he had the inside, and then suddenly it just went and went and went to the right, and you just thought, what? How has that happened? But then actually from the outside, you could see much more clearly that actually Jan was kind of moving left towards Coronel. He already had the inside. And I think they interlock wheels and racing incident. Real shame for Magnussen though, because unnecessary. And that's championship. That's really hurts him there, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I credit to Pirro. Him and Button, massive accident off the start. They still both recover well, but Pirro manages to stay ahead. Maybe partly thanks to Fernandez, who slowed Button up for a bit, but that's going to make this much tighter at the top, Jack.
Yeah, it's really good to see these reverse grid races, because overtaking is obviously an important part of any racing driver's armory, and the same is true in sim racing. You know, there's the amount of times you see sim races where a driver, if he's on pole, he disappears fine, but if he's in second place, or third, he's just a bit too tentative when it comes to the overtaking. And I'm not saying that's what happened with Button at all, but Pirro got past Fernandez decisively. As Jolien pointed out, Button tried to follow through right there and then, but couldn't get it done. And then it was 2 or 3 seconds that he lost. Then the end managed to close in. I want to give a shout out to Mika Salo, a great first podium. He hasn't been in the Legends Trophy very long. Obviously a very, very quick racer. We saw him almost win a Grand Prix in 1999 for Ferrari at Hockenheim. So great to have him here and racing.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Of course, 99, the season that unfortunately Schumacher was out due to the incident at Silverstone. So he's got lots of experience. You're absolutely right. I do want to give a shout out to the world's fastest gamer as well, because if you guys are sitting at home and wondering how you can get involved, you can download Gear Club on your mobile. Try and qualify that way. There'll be more qualifications coming up, but there's also the main documentary from the second season, which was Rudy Van Buren was a judge. Jan Magnussen was, Jan Magnussen, I keep saying that. Jan Maddenborough was a judge. That's actually to be coming to ESPN very, very soon, so you do not want to miss that. I can tell you that I was there, and it was very cool experience, let alone extremely competitive. And we've seen some incredible drivers come out of the sim world. We're going to see another one, I'm sure of it, this year with the winner of that series. I'm not going to say too much. You may already know it's been online, but if not, check out the series because it's been very, very, very cool. And with that, we have our results coming soon. So in just a second, we're going to bring those up. We'll break down the day in detail and see where we lie heading into the midweek of the championship. Welcome back again to the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. We've reached the end of week number 2. That means we're heading into the midpoint, and that means the championship is starting to get more and more, I guess, clear, but also crucial for our drivers. Jack and Julian, obviously you guys walked all the way through this, but it's going to be tight once those tables come up. I think Mario Dominguez, his first week racing with us, is actually standing by currently to give us his experience on the day.
Yeah, with Mario, shall we? Mario, how did you find your first week here in the Legends Trophy? Great to have you here. Have you had fun?
It's fantastic. I'm so proud to be here with all these real legends. You know, I don't know if I fit in that category, but my God, it's been amazing. It's been a nerve-wracking weekend day because, for example, yesterday I couldn't test at all. I had system failure with my things. Today I spent 2 hours with Christian over the phone trying to set up my pedals and stuff. I was getting the gas stuck or the pedal wouldn't brake. I have my pit crew right here. This is very funny because I got my guys, they came in from my racing team to fix it. So we're going to move some details, trying to.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Mario, and we'll see you soon. So there we go. Mario Dominguez, who I think the pit crew now need to fix his microphone on his laptop now.
At least he's got them in.
Technical.
Yeah, exactly. At least they're here already.
Well, I mean, Julian, you've got experience in all sorts of tech issues. You probably had the biggest improvement, I think, there throughout the season. So maybe you could step in for him and get him running now.
I think that's a recipe to not see Mario Dominguez back in the series. So we'll best leave the pros to it, I think.
Well, either way, cool to see more and more drivers getting involved. Shout out again to Hyundai. Those guys are getting more and more involved in motorsport as that brand continues to be a massive force to be reckoned with in the car market worldwide. And their interest in motorsport is really cool because obviously they've been in World Rally. We know that the TCR car they make is extremely competitive. And obviously with Bryan Herta running the team in North America and Gabby Chavez being one of their drivers, they've now jumped on the race to get their name on board in the Pro Cup, and I think it's telling that this is really turning some heads. Not only that, but they picked up a second driver just for this series through what's been going on this channel. So very, very cool to have all those manufacturers, but them as well.
Yeah, I mean, to have Hyundai joining the likes of Mercedes and Bentley, it's really, really impressive for the series. But we can have a look at the championship standings now. We'll start off with the Pro class because that's the sort of first class we've been looking at, and it is Esteban Gutierrez who's on top, 6 points ahead of Nicky Team. Alex Buncombe, so frustrating for him to drop down the order after that spin. If he hadn't had that spin in the closing stages, he'd have still been up there. And Aston Martin looking very strong. And you have to say, Charlie Eastwood, just quiet, I would say. He hasn't really had huge results here or there, but he's just quietly got him into third. Actually, the same is true of Nicky Team. No big I'm not sure either of them got podium finishes.
Team got a podium today, I think, in the end.
Yeah, third in the second race. But that's sort of it.
They're getting the job done, though. I don't think we've mentioned Eastwood's name, to be honest, in the last 2 weeks. And suddenly he's third in the championship. He's quietly done a great job.
And obviously that is good news for Aston Martin Racing as far as the team's championship is concerned in the Pro Cup. They're just 1 point off Mercedes AMG Petronas Esports. So that's very tight. Those two very much the front runners. Bentley in third. Seb Morris not quite bringing the amount of points that Alex Buncombe is at the moment. And Williams with Agustin Canapino getting a good, solid result in. I think BMW really are the team that we've got to look for more from. You mentioned it earlier with Philipp Eng and Bruno Spengler. I think they'll be looking at their points haul after 2 rounds, seeing that they are exactly half the amount of points of Mercedes and have a few questions about why they aren't quite as quick as or quite as many points as their big German rival manufacturers. So that's how it is in terms of the Pro standings. Really, really close up at the top. And that's the same through all of the championships, actually, I have to say.
We have had a ton of great days. We just finished talking not only about the championship standings, obviously, but new drivers coming into it, more so in the Legends Trophy, more and more wanting to get involved, have some fun during this, I guess, unfortunate situation we're all in. One of those is Tom Cornell, the man wrongfully accused. So I'll let Jack, you can give an apology on our behalf.
Yeah, okay. Tom Coronel, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining the series. We thought maybe you squeezed Jan coming into that first corner, but on the replay, it looked like a bit of a racing incident. What was it like from your point of view?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I thought I was quite straight with the steering wheel, but of course I knew Jan was diving on the inside, and I knew it was the last lap. So I thought, probably he'll have some more corners also try to overtake me. But in this case, I think he was more in a hurry, and we collided. My opinion, nobody's mistake. Normally in racing, I think it's just a racing incident. But it's difficult to judge also where the cars are in this case. But no, it was good fun.
Today in general?
Sorry, what did you say?
Have you had fun today in general, your first race?
Oh, yes. I mean, I'm a sim rookie. Of course, I'm now 48 years old, and you can see the young guys are quite strong with it. But I was bored during these Corona days, so I made a sim here with a roll bar, with a roll hoop. I even, after the crash with Jan, I used my smoke machine. I installed the smoke machine. I will show you guys. Watch this one. Oh. It's not working anymore. No, I used it already too much. I have a smoke machine inside the simulator, and it was even that bad that the alarm in the house just went off. So that's why I was a little bit busy after the race. But I had big fun. It's a good thing, It's the base.
Okay, great. It's great to have you here. Thank you very much. See you next week, Tom.
Absolutely. I'll be there. But I need some practice.
Okay, we'll get going, and don't worry about your smoke machine so much, maybe.
How cool is that? He's not only put a roll cage in, but a smoke machine that he manually presses during the accident. We could hear a beeping when we went to him, so no word of a lie. I believe him when he says that that smoke alarm was going off. Nonetheless, don't forget, you can also get a chance to win a phone with Rocket smartphones. They've been fortunate enough to support us throughout the series. I've got mine here. It's pretty awesome so far. Got the right time on it, which is better than my old phone. And you just got to head over to their website, rocketphones.com. You can just enter in the 2 names of the Williams Formula One drivers for this season to get a chance. Obviously, they've got a chance to also get a deal on earbuds with the promo code. With that, when we come back, we'll look into the rest of the results from the day. The Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones is done for week number 2. We've just got a few more results to look at over what was a pretty special day of racing and some very peculiar reverse grids. I have to say that Pro Series being essentially side-by-side on the last lap was pretty remarkable. But we've got some results to look at in just a second. Standouts perhaps for you guys, Julian? Anything that jumped off the page this week?
I think there was just some very strong drives in general. Jenson Button in the Legends was looking really strong. And for me, this week was a little bit ominous for the Legends. And if Jenson could keep that form, I don't see anyone touching him.
Well, we'll take up the championship table now. This is, obviously, we looked at the pros. This is the Sim Masters Championship, and it's pretty close at the top. We mentioned that Bono Huis and Simoncic were battling it out for the lead, but there's some other guys behind that are still very much in the picture, Jack.
Yeah, Simoncic's lead now 9 points over Bono Huis after his strong reverse grid race. Kevin Siggy's there lurking, but he's a good 21 points away. So really, it's looking like a bit of a 2-horse race. Okay, we're not even halfway through the season, so a lot can happen, especially in those reverse grid races. I really believe that's where the big points are going to be lost. As far as the teams are concerned, because there are teams in this Sim Masters standings, we have, because of Burst Esports at the top with Jone Simoncic in first and Michi Hoyer in 6th, they are at the top of the team's championship as well, ahead of Mercedes. Bono Huis scoring most of the points there as opposed to Brendan Lee. And there's also points for stakes in the Legends Trophy as well. And after that very chaotic reverse grid race, it'll be fascinating to see that Emanuele Pirro is at the top for 4 points ahead of Jenson Button. Petter Solberg's getting involved in this fight, only 14 points behind Pirro. Magnussen and Montoya, tough day in particular for Montoya. He was leading the championship coming into this race, has not gained a huge amount of points, and has slipped down to 5th position in the championship standings. But that's how tight this championship is going to be. Button, it's just about staying clean. A lot of this is going to be about staying clean, I think, over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly that. 3 weeks left to go, which is pretty crazy that we've still got that much left in it, but we're already at the halfway point as well. And like you say, things are getting very, very close. Jolie, on this circuit as well, maybe not quite the same as Malaysia in terms of the width and the overtaking opportunities, but was pretty good overall.
Loved it, actually. I think it had a similarly perfect blend of corners, long straights, DRS, the tyre wear in the pro race and the sim race as well. I think we need to keep tracks like this, wide old Grand Prix circuits, basically.
Yeah,
we'll see
really
if
good
that's
stuff. And
the
Estoril
case.
has the biggest casino in Europe. There's your fact of the day.
Wow. All right. Well, there's where my next vacation might be. Actually, I'm terrible at gambling, but I have to say you guys might be better at home to gamble on showing up again next week. Thanks so much for joining us this time around. Thanks to the drivers, everyone involved behind the scenes. And of course, like we say, we've got about an hour away, the Trans Am Championship coming up on this channel as well that you won't want to miss. Stay home, stay safe, and hopefully this is all over soon, but we'll be here next week to keep you entertained either way. We'll see you then.
Welcome to the race.
And the lights are out. Great start then.
The Moto2 champion steps into the team that's dominating the championship.
I'm Scott Mitchell from the race. We're here at Barcelona.
Sebastian Vettel is fighting for his career.
There has to be a title assault, and anything less will be a failure.
Oh, and a spin!
You have to go, bro.